Well, hello. Hi. Hey, everybody. This is. You hear that bullshit? Everything was nice and quiet until. You know what I should do? Just close the window and take off my shoes, too. Take off your shoes. Relax your feet. Get relaxed. Take my shoes off. Thank God for that. Relax my feet. Should I tell you how to? Relax my toes. Lovely. Good. I feel better already. Very nice. Hey, everybody. Today is Saturday, 7:53 Pacific Standard Time. Listen, I want to have some fun. Today is wonderful Saturday, and we don't really have any lessons for today. Not today. We may get into lessons, but child, the lessons are boring. They can be boring. Lessons, not lessons. Lessons are never boring. But I try to save Saturdays for fun time. But to be quite frank with you, honey, a lot of our lessons have been cut short because of readings. Thank you, by the way. I appreciate you. Um, but we still haven't got lessons in. I'm just cleaning things up. We still haven't got lessons in, though. So, just a few lessons. But I also want to talk about state affair. Spirit baths. I'm not still talking about spirit baths. Oh, that's for branding. Let me change that in the awning, honey. No, we're not talking about spirit baths. I forgot to change that. What we are going to talk about is, can I change that? No. Oh, that's the banner below. Oh, thank you. 3 banners. Let me see. Welcome to Timeless Hoodoo. Oh, well, let me change it. T Blue. Oh, I get to do it. Can I get to edit from here? Edit audio avatar. Oh, edit name and headline. Okay, thank you so much. No, not spirit baths. There we go. Current affairs. Current affairs. And spiritual talk. Definitely. Spiritual. Yeah, spirit convo. That's good enough. Oh, can't do that. Spirit talk. Right? You can't do over. Say that. Limit to 50 characters. That's about 50 characters. Oh. Current affairs. It's about 50. That's not. Please limit to 50 characters. That's not more than 50 characters, is it? That's crazy. Okay. Crazy. Very good. All right, everybody. So what's going on? How's everyone doing? I'm doing fine. Hi. Hey, Otter. What's going on, Danny? How are you doing? I hope you're doing fine. Listen, one thing I did want to do though. Hi, honey. I'm gonna put on Clubhouse later. Clubhouse is just it cuts me off, and it's just so rude to me. But all my spirit family's on this, so I have to go. But just talk on here for just a little bit. Now, the first thing I do want to discuss now, you know what? Now, I was on Nosy Ho Live. Nosy Ho Live is one of the main inspirations, one of the reasons why I'm actually, yeah, you can see my face. Nosy Ho did that. Don't blame her. She did it. Don't blame me. Nosy Ho did it. She's the reason why I'm on here. She inspired me to come on. So I just got finished watching her videos. Her and a few commentators I love to watch. Love watching Nosy Ho because she just makes me giggle, giggle, giggle. And it's a lot of fun. And child, I'm always going, But the thing about it also too, um, she brings up really good topics. One of the topics I want to do too, just go bounce back and forth, is the whole Diddy thing going on. No, lemon pepper chicken, well, whatever the hell, what is his name? Laurel, Zeus, CEO, whatever the hell he is. Um, I'm hearing some things about him. People are getting back to me, especially people that I read for, people in this town. Not many people really know about him, but the people that do know about him, I've talked to two people about him. Everybody says basically that it's just no, no, it's not a good person. So that being said, no. One thing, this is tobacco, everybody. Um, the diddler. One thing now, the diddler. I forgot to mention this to y'all. And when I was working with Brandy, I think I. There's a lot of dust that's there. I think I actually did mention this to everyone. When I was with Brandy, my ex-producer, we Brandy worked as an editor, and I worked with her. And out of the blue, I don't know how. Oh, it started with Corey Feldman. Do you remember the time? This is around about the time Corey Feldman he was selling this show, this thing that was going on. Well, Brandy was going to edit that. The show never came through because Corey Feldman is something's wrong with him. He needs Jesus. So, um, but all of a sudden, she started getting in talks with other people because she was going to do a documentary. It was going to turn into a documentary talking about the abuse. Corey Feldman was finally going to expose the abuse that him and the other Corey Haim, had actually went through. Around about that time, somehow, some way. Now I don't know how. Somehow, some way, Brandy got a hold of a person got a hold of her. Actually, they were out of New York, if I remember correctly, and I think they came on as a. I know Brandy was working for them as a production client, as an editing client. They were in talks for having a Biggie and Tupac project where they were going to expose. This was, I remember he got stabbed with a needle. Oh Jesus, sweet Lord! The stuff I heard about Corey Feldman doesn't treat his girlfriend very well. Doesn't treat women very well, to be quite frank with you. It's really awful. Um, the person ended up spilling some tea and end up letting. They were going to end up hiring Brandy to edit this project. And it fell through after 2 weeks. Around about the same time we were getting together Blood with the Chronicles, trying to bring Christian Kane onto Blood with the Chronicles. It's just all big kerfluffle. But I remember this project. The person was out of New York. Um, After 2 weeks, it just fell through. And Brandy called it too. She said more than likely they either sold the project or they got hush money, enough hush money to shut them up. Because they were going to put out we were going to edit a whole and 2 hour documentary about, well, Biggie, and who killed him, and Puff Daddy. Now, how I know it was Puff Daddy, the lady, it was a male and a female. I spoke to the guy. He never mentioned Diddy, but he would mention Biggie and the music industry and his provocateur and the guy who gave him a start, which is Diddy. What I remember specifically, whenever he would talk about Diddy, it would get to the point whereas he would speak in hushed tones, and he wouldn't necessarily call Diddy out personally. I remember me and Brandy being on a conference phone, and we had to say Diddy's name. Like, do you mean Diddy? He wouldn't. We had to mention it 3 or 4 times. He's like, yeah, okay, yeah, Diddy. It's like he didn't want to talk about him. It's also too. It was he acted as if somebody was listening on the phone. Like Brandy had someone there in the loft with her listening to his conversation. This man sounded scared. The sister, though, she wasn't scared of shit. Nothing. She was not afraid of anything. Um, the documentary basically was going to chronicle the last 4 weeks of Biggie's life and how Puffy was really truly acting very very. See, Biggie was about to leave him. Biggie was about to start his own record company, and Iveen from Def Jam, no, Iveen from here in Los Angeles. Was it Jimmy Iovine? Thank you. They were about to back Biggie in his own label, his own boutique label. Um, but he was going to take his whole catalog. See, Puffy didn't take Biggie's catalog. The reason why is because there was so much fame around Biggie. It would have looked very, very bad in order to do that. Also, too, Biggie didn't live long enough for Puffy to steal his catalog. Now, mind you, Biggie's mother, Miss Wallace. She's been fighting Puff in court. I think she's won fighting Puff in court for Biggie's catalog. Definitely, it was just something he doesn't want to relinquish, or at least part of it. I think they have a 50-50 stake. I'm not sure about it, but what I do know is that she can't stand him, and she absolutely hates him. But as the story goes, what this was going to do, what this documentary was going to do, was going to expose Biggie's murder. And in turn, because we're in Los Angeles, the sisters said, because y'all guys are in LA, we're going to give you Tupac, everything we know about Tupac. We're just going to throw that in. So me and Brandy, we're salivating. And I'm like, oh my God, is this for real? And Brandy's like, oh my God, this is really real. And after a few weeks, it dried up. And Brandy called it. You know, we weren't really dependent because we were always working. But we wanted that job because we wanted. Mind you, you had to sign it. We had already signed NDAs. That's how serious they were about it. And there's nobody we could have told anything, but we wanted to see for ourselves what was going on. Because the job itself didn't go through. I could talk about anything I want to talk about. The job didn't go through. We didn't get the job. It dried up. So I can say anything I want to say. The little information we did receive wasn't a lot. This was just hearsay tidbits concerning the young lady was mentioning how strange Puffy was acting. Biggie should have been in Los Angeles a whole 2 weeks before. Bloods and Crips were looking for Biggie as well. Biggie had to really beef up his staff, but also too, hey Lori, honey, but also too keep in mind not only just beef up his staff, but Biggie had to beef up his East Coast his East Coast bodyguard staff as well, or protection staff as well. And the thing about it, I have to get another chair. This chair is cutting into my legs. Chair, girl, listen. These ergonomic chairs. When you're fat like I am, when you're fat, thick, and delicious like I am, you can't sit in those skinny people chairs. These ergonomic chairs. These chairs be cutting off my blood circulation, my thick and delicious legs. I can't have that mess. So I had to put a pillow down. My goodness, I have been missing your. Hey, hi, Laura, is that you? I've been missing y'all. Oh, honey, it was glad to have you now. Glad to have you back, honey. Now, keep in mind, the thing about it is this, though. Biggie should have been in Los Angeles 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks before. I've been feeling empty. However, I've been keeping up with my spiritual cleansing. Good, honey. Very, very good. Mhm. And keep in mind, oh, that is you. Hi. It's glad to hear from you, honey. I'm sure glad. How you know about the YouTube page? That's amazing. How you know about the YouTube? That is so cool. Y'all also too, Shelly saw the last video, y'all. When I smoked on my tobacco, I forgot. I have to put myself on the thing because I cannot show myself smoking tobacco products. No. Because YouTube, they don't like that. Mhm. Say what? Yeah, anyway. But like one of the tidbits she gave that Biggie should have been here at least 2 weeks before. Puffy was trying to get him to come here 2 weeks before. Also, Puffy was basically going behind his back, literally trying to really rearrange his catalog. Biggie had Biggie had a he had a pretty sizable catalog for an artist that just came out. I think he was working on his second or third, his second, I believe his second album. Uh, all this hype concerning Biggie, we have to realize this man was extremely young, and he was still living off the hype of his very first album. I don't think Biggie got to make a second album. He was going to make a third album. He never got to make a third album, sweetie. And that third album is going to be under his imprint. And that's one of the reasons why he wanted to get away from Puffy, because Puffy was stealing from him. Biggie was going to report that. Biggie had reported him to the IRS, absolutely, and of course was going to have him audited. So not Biggie, but Biggie's accountants were going to have him audited because, of course, they were noticing that when you start making that type of money, you have money managers and of course accountants. And it was the accountants that went behind that told Big Ted told Miss Ted told Biggie something is not right. You're really going to have to watch your finances. Something is not cool. And so that's what happened. Mind you, it was not just finances, honey. Puffy was robbing that boy blind. There was one story that the young lady had told me that they had went to Versace because they love Versace. And back then, it was such thing as black cards, but they weren't really giving out to everybody. Puffy had a black card, but it wasn't really a black card, only because she said, as the story was told to her, Puffy would pull out a black card because you have to be invited to have an American Express black card. They have to invite you. Puffy had what they call a faux black card, but behind it was a gold American Express card. So he'd pull it out just for clout, but no, everybody knew that it wouldn't work. It doesn't work. Um, Biggie went to pull out his card, or his assistant did. Went to put not assistant. One of they were all going shopping. One of the record executives, mind you, this was right off Fifth Avenue, and one of Biggie's cards declined. That was unheard of because he was really pissed off. So Puffy ended up buying the shirts and things like that. Mind you, Biggie was so big to whereas you couldn't. What he would do was that he would point out what he wanted. And then, of course, they would custom make these things too, as well, custom make them for him. Not many. Also, too, a lot of people don't understand. A lot of the Versace shirts, that Biggie got, they weren't necessarily like Versace and all that going on. These are custom made shirts for him, right from Italy. Absolutely, they do offer that atelier service. But a lot of the Versace pieces, they were made by an artist called Dapper Dan, who would also make these things. Now, Dapper Dan back then, it still is quite expensive. So you know something's wrong when you, for instance, go out to eat, go out to eat with your girls, with the team, or with your friends, your card gets declined. And Biggie was said to be, and what at least what was told to be, he was thought to be a really, he was very, very kind of laid back. He wasn't necessarily confrontational unless he had to be, because he knew that Puffy would take care of him. And then Puffy was always telling him, "Oh, the money has come through. You expect more money." So Puffy would basically front him hundreds and thousands of dollars. Biggie then started to realize through other accountants, one of Puffy's accountants started talking to his accountant. And that's how Biggie began to find out, this was a year before he was killed, that the money Puffy was fronting was his money. It was his from record sales. Mhm. You see, Biggie was one of the marquee stars of Bad Boy. So he didn't sign a 365 deal. Biggie signed a deal whereas he would have control of his masters. He would have control over his art. But Puffy was treating him as if he had signed a 365 deal. And Biggie not knowing until the very end that because Puffy had been gaslighting him the whole entire time. So it's really money. And the story goes from what the young lady told me, and I forget her name. She said the straw that broke the camel's back. Biggie wanted to get a Range Rover. I think it was a Range. I think it was a Range Rover. It was a custom-made Range Rover because Biggie was a big dude. And another thing about people don't know, Biggie did not like to drive. He always had a driver. He liked to ride in the back or ride in the passenger seat. He did not like to drive. He went to get this car, had it custom made, paid down payment on everything. Car didn't go through. You know how embarrassing that is when you're Biggie, and mind you, the story goes, the dealers, everybody's just looking at him like your money is not, and everybody knows who you are. So because he's Biggie Smalls, he's actually quite famous. There, the deal went through because they know that he's good for the money. It dawned on him then that what his accountant had told him was actually true. Now, from what I've heard from the young lady, Biggie didn't even believe it then when he was told, but he believed it in that moment that Puffy was shysting him, that Puffy was stealing from him. It took several instances of him being embarrassed to really understand how he was being stolen from, and uh, how Sean Combs was stealing all of his money. Absolutely. It took, they were such good friends. Biggie believed it. Biggie believed everything he said. He trusted him. And so that night in the Automotive Museum here in Los Angeles, I think he trusted him to the very end. Because mind you, Biggie was not supposed to ride in that car. Biggie's a big dude. He was a big dude. He, of course, he was riding passenger seat. He was supposed to ride in the limo. Puffy convinced him to get in that truck. It was like with a Ford Bronco, something like that. I think it was. I'm not sure. Puffy convinced him to sit in the passenger seat to sit there. Said there wasn't enough room in the limo, and that's where they shot him. Puffy orchestrated the whole entire thing because he didn't want to lose. Biggie was worth more money to him dead than alive, and he didn't want to be called out. Puffy was about to be audited. Now that Biggie's dead, they still audited, but it went through. Probably, I don't know. Probably went through like gangbusters. But at the end of the day, this is what happened. Biggie trusted that man to the very end. Now, as far as Tupac Shakur, as we're starting to find out, Keefe, of course, was hired by Puff Daddy. We both know. Now, we all suspect now that that is true. But he was hired. But keep in mind, the way the story goes, a lot of people know this. A lot of people don't know this. The same people that were hired to kill Biggie, well, these were from the East Coast, hired by Puffy. And the men to be hired uh, to kill Tupac, well, they were from the East Coast. And the men to be hired to kill Biggie were from the West Coast. Now, mind you, Keefe Green, Keefe is actually saying that he's the one that killed Biggie, or that he was hired to kill Biggie. Or was he hired to kill Tupac? I forget. But I suspect he's hiding something. He's not a snitch. Understand these men, they understand you. They understand the underworld's tactics of no snitching. Did he actually kill, one of these men? I believe so, but I don't believe he was the only one. I believe there was a team up to 8, 9, maybe 10 people that night to make sure as soon as Biggie got in that car, in that truck, he was dead. There were up to 10 men at that time to make sure that he was dead. He could not have gotten away from it at all. He could not have gotten away. Puffy orchestrated both hits. And that's what that young lady said. She said, we're going to throw in Tupac just because. She says, I really do believe that, man. She's like, nobody's going to believe me. And sooner or later, after a few weeks, this whole documentary just dried up because Brandy was going to edit it. We were going to edit it together. And it completely just went away. Now, mind you, there is another documentary created by a guy called Broomfield out of, I think it's Bloomfield out of New England. He's out of the UK. No, to documentary make. He's kind of annoying. But I watched that one. It was shot in 2001. I remember seeing that. And I remember having that in the background when I'm working. It's incredibly, very, very interesting. And it opened up a lot of tidbits. And it also had a lot of, now that we understand what's going on with Puffy right now, Mr. Combs, I'm going to call him Puffy, idiot. What this would now, okay, I'm going to look at documentary of Biggie and Tupac. Yeah, documentary of Biggie and Tupac. Look at that right now. Yeah, it's 2002, and yeah, this is created by Nick Broomfield. Hold on. I'm gonna see where you can actually see this at too. You can actually watch it on AMC if you have a subscription. There's not many places you can watch it though. You can watch it on AMC. Also, too, to be quite frank with you, you probably can watch it on YouTube as well. I've been able to find some really cool movies on YouTube. Hold on. Let's see if I can find it actually. Yeah, Nick Broomfield. I want to know if you could find it on here. Oh, Chad, no. Is Nick Bloomfield, is he still living? He may be living. I think he is still living. Okay, hold on. Let me look in my YouTube search. Yeah, just a minute ago. Okay. Can stop that. This computer's so slow. Let's stop that. Okay, get out of there. Let's stop it. All right. Now I'm going to look on YouTube. Try to look on it again. Let's see what I can find. There. Also, a lot of people want to understand if Sean Combs is actually going to jail. Personally, I think he is going to go to jail. Oh, I got it right here. 2002. Yeah, I actually do have it. Yeah, we actually do have it. It is on YouTube. Here we go. Yeah, it is on YouTube. I remember that music. Sweet God. It's eerie music. Hold on. Yeah, it's on here. It's on YouTube.
This way. I want anybody at this corner at all, period.
Yeah.
I'd like to see everybody that way, okay?
Yeah, I think everybody should give this another look now. Now that everything is happening concerning that jackass, everybody should be giving this a second look. So I'm gonna put the YouTube. I'm gonna share the title, the link. It's in YouTube now. You can definitely look at it. It's definitely on YouTube itself. Give that a look. That deserves another look, definitely. Um, there's so much. Yeah, he really killed those guys. So also too, what I like about Nick Bloomfield is that he explored a lot of topics, and he also he explored a lot of different angles concerning Tupac and Biggie's murder. But right now we're talking about Puffy, but just also too all the blood and all the things that he's responsible for. I mean, this man he could be known as a serial killer. Now, did he kill these people directly himself? No, of course not. Did he pay to have these people killed? Of course, yes, he did. Because he had a God complex. He felt that he was invincible. He felt that nobody could touch him. But finding out that, well, people can touch you. You absolutely can be had. And that's what's happening to him right now. Do I feel psychically that Puffy's going to jail? Absolutely. Do I feel that if they're going to have a hard time extraditing him, Puffy's in a place right now where they can extradite him? Do I feel they'll eventually get him? Yes, I will. But do I also feel will they get him? No, I don't. I think Puffy's gonna off himself. I feel it. Before they put him in jail, he will self-harm himself before that happens. What you can quote me on this. Psychically, do I feel that Puffy will be going to jail? I feel they're gonna try to. Do I think he'll see some jail? Maybe a little bit. Is he gonna see big time? No, not even a little bit. I think before that happens, I feel Puffy will off himself. He will unalive himself. It won't happen. Or something mysteriously will happen to him. Whereas it'll look as if it'll be his unaliving will look mysterious, as if it happened by somebody else. But do I think he's gonna see jail? No, I don't. I think he's gonna unalive himself, honestly. And you can quote me on that. I do feel that, definitely. I don't think he's gonna see any jail time. Only because he's not gonna be here. Absolutely not. To be quite frank with you, I think he's thinking about it right now. Things are crashing around him. The world as he know it is not. It's not his. It's not the world that he's accustomed to. He's not used to being called out. He's not used to being held accountable for his actions. This man is not used to being. He's used to people liking him. Right now, he's a pariah. He's not accustomed to that at all. He's not accustomed to being enemy number one, and that alone, and it's in itself. If you built your reputation and your reputation on being the party boy, the industry's party boy, in the industry's, you know, happy guy. The minute people find out that you're actually a demon, well, that's really rough. That's a rough pill to swallow. And that's what I think is going to happen. I really feel that. He's not going to be around. I feel he's going to unalive himself. That's what I feel psychically. I also feel there's going to be a few other people. They're not going to unalive themselves, but they're going to be, a few other people are going to, it's like it's going to be a spate of people trying to harm themselves around him in his immediate cipher. Do not believe that they're going to hurt themselves. Do not believe that. No, he's going to try to hurt them. He's going to try to poison them. This man has people around him that do not mind killing in serendipitous ways, which means these are trained people that are trained assassins. They know how to kill people to make it look very, 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 it doesn't look auspicious at all. It just looks like natural causes. And with Kim Porter, his wife, his ex, maybe the mother of his children, he had her killed. Her boyfriend at the time, the Esco, of course, the model, he had him killed. Of course, the record executive that was dating her, I forget his name, Secure, he had him killed. Okay. Misa Hilton, her father, Justin's father, he had him killed. Wolf. I actually met Wolf. Wolf was a 6'4", I believe. Beautiful man. I met him. We were at Justin's a long time ago. Missy Elliott was there. That's when I worked with Source Magazine. I was working with AST Sportswear. We were doing Source Legends. This is just hip hop wear for Biggie Smalls and African Babata. Just doing urban wear jerseys, basically couture jerseys. We call them couture jerseys. Just beautiful, beautiful jerseys. And they invited us to Justin's. Tweet was there. Missy Elliott was there. Those were the two celebrities that were there. It was a pretty small impromptu. It was really beautiful food though. But yeah, it's just if people find. Oh, and that's where I met. I met Wolf. He was there definitely. Big tall man. I didn't know who he was till days later. That's Puffy's bodyguard. Well, where's Puffy at? I think Puffy was there. I think knowing him, probably in the corner watching everybody. Because he does that a lot. He'll just sit in the corner watching people. He's just a creep. But I don't feel that he's going to see any jail time. I feel that he's going to take his own life. I really do feel that. Now, getting off that subject, because it really is morbid. The legacy concerning, we could talk about the cases that's going on with this man. Everything that his house of cards are falling down, and that's interesting. But what I really want to talk about are the other people that are remaining quiet, that are very much like him. And there are cookie trails. But you know what? Before we do that, I want to lay out a whole entire breadcrumb trail of what I know, because I haven't signed NDAs with these people, and I'm not gonna mention what I hear in spirit readings. The aspects of, and of course, a few people in this town I do read for. That some of them are quite well known. I can't mention any of that because I'm like a doctor. I'm Hippocratic oath. But you can't reveal none of what you hear. It's not professional. But I can dance around it. I'm getting the last. Actually, this started around about 3 weeks before the Cassie video came out. Other people were asking. They were wanting to. Now it all makes sense. How do things look moving to Las Vegas? How things look moving to Atlanta? And these are well-known people in this town. How do things look if I move to Atlanta? Will things be the same if I move to Atlanta? Will opportunities be there? And I'm like, but you're doing to myself, of course, but you're doing so well here. Why are you moving to Atlanta? Why do you want to move to Las Vegas? Why do you want to move to New York? You know, why do you want to move to Florida? You're doing so well here. Florida doesn't even have an infrastructure concerning the well, it does, the motion picture industry, but it's more novellas and television. It's more for Spanish speaking television. Florida has a beautiful infrastructure for shows, but it's not. These shows are exports to South America, definitely. They have a huge Spanish speaking population. So a lot of those novellas and what do they call it? Telenovelas? Yeah, they're pretty much, some of them, quite a few of them, made in Florida. But I was asked, well, why? Well, why? Just a question. Just to myself. I'm there to help people solve problems. I'm not there to ask questions. I'm the psychic, so I'm here to to tell them what I feel and what I see, what I feel from spirit. I'm not there to ask really odd questions or blatant questions. But that being said, um, this started about 2 months before. How are things going? How will they go? And as a psychic, when you know that a person is doing, you see them, in the shows, everything else, I was like, well, if they don't go well, they be fine. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, why are you leaving? Now I know. And a few of those people would shock you. Some of them have already left. Mark Wahlberg, I've never had him as a client, but he's already gone to Las Vegas, already left. That was 4 months of 5, 6 last year. I always wondered why this big fleeing. And do you think they knew? How could they have known? But Puffy's been and that means that Puffy was really headfully under investigation as of last year. Yeah, Tyrese is looking to get up out of here too. He's looking to sell his home. Yeah, got a lot of stars out here that are looking to sell their homes. Leonardo DiCaprio is looking to move. Well, yeah, we know that. He's another one that's just so. I get the weirdest vibes from him. Him and Robin Thicke. Oh God, Robin Thicke. Robin Thicke is such a sleazoid. Oh my God. I love his voice. Great looking guy. But I just get the weirdest vibe from him. I was in the same, never met him, was in the same room with him once. He's a tall dude. Good looking, really great looking guy. Back then he was with Paula Patton. They're really, really beautiful. She is a pretty lady. Paula Patton will make you rethink your life if you're. She's a beautiful smile. Absolutely. She got away from that mess. It's a hot, hot, stinking mess. A lot of these people are leaving Los Angeles. And I'm starting to understand. Do you think that's why? Because they knew that something like this was going to come about. They knew this. They knew something like this was gonna happen. Hmm. Now, the parties. Let's do a breakdown. Now, here in Hollywood, when I didn't know this when I moved here, Hollywood is a city whereas everything closes by one. One some places stay open to two. And if you're really famous, they may stay open to maybe 2:30. But everything closes has to be closed by 1 a.m. So if you live in the Hollywood Hills, the parties, then we're taking this party mobile. We're taking this party up to somebody's house because everything closes there. It's not like New York where places to. Honey, I'm from New York by way of Baton Rouge, but I'm used to like the Palladium and the Garage and the other the raves that are open till like 6 and 7 in the morning. I've danced about a good 5 pounds of water weight off of me. I've sweated, just sweating. I've danced my ass off. New York can spoil you in that way. I mean, clubs for us. Yeah, the most clubs do close around about 2:30. But then again, we're on to another club. And then they have all night. We're on to a rave or discoteria or one of them old beautiful underground palladiums of just hundreds of people on copious amounts of LSD, God only knows what else. And it's just this writhing bodies under some of the best music of DJs from all over the world. Oh my God. You can feel the love. You can feel the music in your soul. I'm going to be on that dance floor from 2:30 a.m. to probably around about 5 a.m. And I'm going to take intervals of like 30-minute breaks of water, you know, and maybe a little listen, maybe a cigarette break. And I'm going to get back on the floor. I've earned this. It's so much fun. It's so much fun. And then I come to LA for Blood of the Chronicles, and I'm shocked. Clubs don't stay open like that. Not at all. That's not a one. By 1:30, everything's closed. I'm like, this is a fucking sundown town. Like, what is this? This is Los Angeles, but it's not New York. So that being said, that's one of the reasons why house parties or mansion parties or what they call red rope parties are very, very popular here. Red rope parties are parties usually held at the private homes of celebs. They're incredibly popular here. And that's why it's so debaucherous, because when you're in your own house, you can do whatever the hell you want. It's been that way since the 60s. Hell, it's been that way since the 40s. And to go further back than that, like for Fat Arbuckle, when he got in trouble in 1920s, he lost his reputation by crushing that girl's spleen. He just plopped on her. Oh, but Valentino? Oh, the scandals back in the silent screen. Oh, this has been going on for 100 years, honey. These red velvet parties. And with Puffy, it's all the difference, all the same. This town behind private doors. Anything. Listen, Megan Thee Stallion got shot at one of these parties. Okay. She was at what's it, Kylie? She was at our house. Private party. Red velvet rope party. Only the who's who can be invited. And your friends. But they're gonna stop you at the door. Look at your friends. Up, can't come in. You don't look good enough. Have I been invited to any of these parties? No, honey. I've never been invited to these parties. Would I go? No, I would not go. No. Now I've been to private events, events concerning, media people to smooth and kind of connect. But I'm on the blue. I'm on the booze and food. I'm usually the big fluffy, yet the fluffy one, stuffing my face and double fisting the prosecco and stuffing my face with hors d'oeuvres. That's me over there in the corner. Why don't you network? Okay, Hoodoo. I do it later. That's where you find me over there. I'm by the alcohol and the food. T, come on over. Hoodoo. I do it there. When I get finished eating, don't give me with the champagne. Why do you have two flutes of champagne? Uh, I have. This is one. No, it's two. Oh, who gave this to me? Oh, hold on, I'll drink it up. I'll drink it right in front of you. Now it's one. Here's a glass. I'll make it magically disappear. Now, here in this town, that's those private parties. That's when the most hedonistic things happen. And I've always heard in the past years, I was hearing this in the garment industry about Puffy and Mr. Combs and his parties. They were some of the best. Okay, Mr. Combs was known for the white party. It was infamous and incredibly famous. You knew you was somebody famous. Did I want to go to the white party? Of course I did. I was never. Was I? I was invited. I was going to be a hanger on. Oh, why did I gonna go? Oh, because I couldn't find my way there. It was in the further up. out of the city. I couldn't. It was up eastern, like in the Hamptons over there. The guy was going to take. It was a whole group, and I don't think they wanted me to go anyway. So they left without me, and I couldn't find my way there. I was invited, and I still have the invite too. Well, I used to have it. I left it, probably left it in my old apartment, but I was invited. Never got there. Never got to go. Bought an outfit and everything. I was going to go fetching, but now knowing what I know now, I'm kind of glad I didn't go. I'm very glad I didn't go because there's a party for everybody, and then there's the party. Usually starts around about 12:30 a.m. to 1. Whoever you are, if you don't want, there's one saying here in Hollywood. You're gonna have to go to those parties and the mansion parties. You're gonna have to go, but be gone by 10. By 1 a.m., get the hell out of there. Do not be, because then the devil shows up. If you're there 1:30 to 2 a.m., expect to see some of anything. Stuff starts to change. A whole different crowd starts to comes through those doors. And they're expecting that type of party because they're bringing that energy with them. Denzel told, I think it was Chadwick Boseman, learn to leave before the devil shows up. The little parties are perfectly fine, but by 1 a.m., get the hell up out of there. Because if you don't, you'll be swept up. And I've heard some of anything and everything happening. From Vin Diesel, oh, sweet God, the stuff I heard about him, it would shock your mind. Absolutely shock your mind. And this comes from a person that I actually know. It's a really good friend of mine. She says, I was shocked. Why were you shocked? All the men in this town are bisexual. If you're working and you're successful, not all of them, not all of them. Denzel Washington, I've never heard that vibe from him. He's a philanderer. He was a philanderer, not anymore. I mean, listen, you got a vagina and breast, and you're good looking. He's probably gonna try to have you. Back about 30 years ago, not 30 years ago, yeah, 20 years ago. He'd shoot his shot. But he's one of the very few that doesn't swing both ways. Vin Diesel, oh sweet God. You know how many times I've heard that he's in the corner kissing some dude, making out with some man, lip locked, scruffy. Now, mind you, I like Vin Diesel. I think he's gorgeous. Kind of wish it was me. He's so beautiful. I love Vin Diesel. And what I've heard of him, I know people that have slept with him. It is everything to write home to mom about. It is everything. Listen, that ride is worth the ride. It's worth it's worth it because he is very athletic and very limber. It is amazing. He's a man's man completely. And from what I've heard right between his legs, it is awesome, awesome. Not kind of long, not too long, but about as thick as a baby's wrist. And he knows how to use it. See, that's a little too much information, sweet Jesus. But listen, sorry. But you hear these things because you have to understand. In this town, especially with young women and young men, you're good looking, you're part of the industry, you're trying to break in. So if you're good looking and you're young, you're going to be invited to quite a few of these parties because you're trying to smooth. And everybody talks too much in this town. I think the only people that don't talk too much is maybe me, and I talk a lot. It's me, and I talk too damn much in this town. I talk not in this town, but I talk enough just to talk to y'all. And then on Clubhouse, of course, with my spiritual gatherings, spiritual brothers and sisters, I'm going to talk every day. That's how I make my living, feeling in spirit and talking. Talking to spirit. Listen, either you with skin or without skin, I'm going to talk to you. Thank God. I'll always have someone to talk to. Depends on whether you have a body or not. Either inside skin, outside the skin. I have to have someone to talk to. But oh my God, the stories. Now, mind you, for all the ladies out there, I'm not going to say that every man out here is bisexual. I'm not going to crash your little dreams. That's not true. But the men that I've heard were bisexual, that it blew my mind because their image is so carefully crafted. And I'm not going to tell. I had to tell Vin Diesel because it's pretty well known in this industry. It's very well known that he swings both ways. But baby, y'all didn't know it. I'm going to stop it there. I'm not telling anything else. But one thing I will tell is stuff that happens at these parties. So, if you're a young man known for the white party, that beautifully infamous white party, of course the after parties are going to be just as infamous, but in a very bad way. And anytime copious amounts of drugs are, I had to pop away back. Hey, honey, anytime drugs are involved, of course, of course, of course the party is going to become infamous. Of course things are going to get out of hand. Of course, I've heard of many instances with ladies being sexually assaulted or nearly being in that situation. Of course, I've had readings with ladies that have contacted me. What can I do? This guy has taken advantage of me. The pot cops won't do anything. What can I do magically, hoodoo wise? Can I hex him? Can I put him in a bottle? I'm gonna give her all the tools and ammo to fuck him up. Of course you can. In fact, I'm going to come to your house and do the job, do it for you. Those are my on-site. So sometimes here in LA, I'll go to different sites. I'll go on to do on-site work. It's a pretty penny. I'm there to help you. You got to get supplies first. And get all the supplies I tell you. When they're there, then you book. Then I'm there. Send me an Uber, and there we go. He's fine as hell, Vin Diesel. Oh yeah, he's good. Yeah, he's good looking. Vin Diesel is absolutely gorgeous. But that being said, yeah, the stuff I've heard, yeah, it's pretty sad. But one of the really great things about Hoodoo and Conjure is that you can afford to get back at people, that hurt you. And that's one of the things I love about Conjure, is that it is a way to get justice. You know, that's what it's always been. It's derived and helped, and under um, a people like myself. It helped us get representation, if not in the physical world, the spirit world. It helped us find ourselves. It helped keep us safe, pretty much. So hoodoo is always going to be one of those remnants concerning. Um, always be a craft that just keeps it keeps us, it keeps one, it keeps the world balanced. So it's really, yeah. I've had those readings where, what do I do? And sometimes they're tears, a lot of times they're not. They had one chick once last year. She took it pretty lackadaisical. I mean, you have a reading. At the end of the reading, you're kind of like, what did I just hear? Because you don't believe you believe what you're hearing, but you don't believe. It's really hard to understand her delivery. Like, aren't you heartbroken? She's just a strong girl. Most of it, she was giggling and laughing and just making fun of this, not making fun of the situation, but making very light of a heavy situation. I think she was doing that for my benefit because she didn't want to weigh me down. Probably so. Like, what do you want to do? Well, I want him to lose his job. Okay, I can do that. I want him to lose his reputation. I can do that. And I want for people to find out. And I want help with the police. Well, I can do that too. I can do that too. Of course. The cops weren't taking it seriously because this man was incredibly famous. Still is. He's a producer. You may not know him. Very, very works behind a lot of the really great projects out here in this town. Just yeah, that part. So, but I'm finding slowly but surely that Hoodoo is helping people, and they love it, and they see the results. And yes, retribution in that way, retribution of any kind, is in itself a form of healing. You can't convince me otherwise. Because the ladies that hit me back later, months later, after retribution has taken place, and the voices are not as heavy. There's a beautiful levity that's there, a beautiful sense of normalcy. Whereas the last time I talked to her, she was brittle. Just want to hug her through the phone. Now I talk to her. She's better. She's stronger. She's happier. Oh my God. He lost his job. They found out about it. He did another girl that way. He did. Yeah. And what's going to happen to him? He's going to jail. He's going to listen. They arrested him. Well, how do you feel? And guys, y'all know that should be my epithet on my tombstone. How do you feel? You ask, how do you feel? I feel great. No, how do you really feel? Relieved. 3 words, 3 statements, 3 words that I've heard that are so odd. Relieved is 1. 2, surreal, which I understand both of them. And 3, which I understand this too, but in a really odd way, guilty. Yeah, I get that. This guy or girl did the worst to you, and you feel guilty? Well, I didn't want to hurt them that way, or maybe I was too rough, or maybe I need to rethink things. Now, no, no. Come back to earth, ma'am. You're fine. Stop feeling so damn guilty. They hurt you. Absolutely. So it's one of those situations whereas, these parties out here in LA, they can lead to all types of debauchery and really all types of, yeah, that part. You got to be very, very careful when you're in the business of acting, in the business of making shows, in the business of creating content, because there's so many pitfalls and there's so many people out here that are looking to take advantage of you. And I'm just being honest. So what I tell a lot of girls and guys nowadays is just use your common sense and understand if somebody offers you something, trust me, the price for what they're offering you, if it's not written on paper, never accept a deal until it's written on paper. Never take it seriously. Because usually, if they offer you something that's not written on paper, they want something in return. Never, ever accept anything unless it's written on paper. They better have a contract right there at that table. And they usually do. If you don't see something written on paper, it means that it's probably a lie. Don't believe anything. Don't believe anything that doesn't have your Johnny Hancock on it. I mean that. Absolutely. Everybody, it's Saturday, 8:51 Pacific Standard Time. Saturday, we're in Timeless Hoodoo. Just listen. Timeless Hoodoo, current events, and Conjure Talk for spirit folk. This time we talk. Every Saturday we talk about paranormal things, paranormal events. I talk about my grandfather living in Baton Rouge, in Orleans, just the deep South. Um, it's good. But every Saturday we don't really do lessons because every other day in Thomas Hoodoo on Clubhouse, starting probably about 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Or 12 p.m. Probably going on till 3 or 4 in the afternoon. We usually talk about lessons. We talk about Hoodoo and Conjure, candles, everything magical, spell jars, mojos, sachets, gree-grees, everything magical, everything conjure, everything spiritual. We usually do that every day because I have a compunction. We also do readings too as well. I think a lot of brothers and sisters come. I think they come equally for the readings, well, especially for the knowledge. Oh, then I also have a Patreon too as well that has all the knowledge they talk about on Clubhouse. It has everything there, and it's pretty. I try to make sure it's archived really well. But also too, no, that's it. I was going to say something. I have a brain fart. Um, I completely forgot. Definitely. So we talk about it. But on Saturdays we just kind of relax a little bit. No lessons. No, don't look at teachers with dirty books. No, me being the teacher or the instructor. No, it's meant to be fun. A way to relax, definitely. But also to kind of catch up. The only reason why I'm mentioning Puffy is because, well, Mr. Combs, I just don't feel right calling him Puffy. Puffy the Magic. Puffy the rapist. Puffy's like an affectionate name. It's not appropriate anymore. Not at all. But the only reason why I'm mentioning him is because he's a big part of the conversation. But also too, you're mentioning him because if you're part of the apparel, I'm from the apparel industry about 21 years, and NYC. Everybody knows about Puffy because he was a big part of the apparel industry with Sean John. Sean John was making hundreds of millions of dollars for quite a few years, and everybody who was in urban wear, every male, every person who was a male designer doing men's sportswear wanted to work at Sean John. The packages were good, the pay was really good, well, somewhat, but most of all, it was a hot place to work because Sean, Mr. Combs was a great person. His notoriety, everybody wanted to work there because of his notoriety. I mean everybody, even me. I was there freelance for a little bit, but only reason why I didn't like it only because, well, the people they felt that they shit didn't stink. I'm like, listen, it's not rocket science. We're designing clothes for Christ's sakes. We're designing clothes. It's not rocket science. So no, people just took themselves too seriously. But it was a great company though. It was a really cool company, and freelancing there, I got the job through Problem Solvers. Those that freelance in New York City, I don't even know if Problem Solvers is even around anymore. Problem Solvers have been around for such a long time, but I got the job from them. I sure did. Problem Solvers, and yeah. Hmm. Problem Solvers was one of those freelance companies that I still to this day I feel that they're racist. They were to jail. This Most of these freelance companies were headed up by white women, and they would see my portfolio. I did tech design, fashion illustration, fashion presentation, fashion merchandising, media, presentation boards. I was a whole design house. Did my own croquis, my own flats, my own tech packs. I was a one ounce dining house, and all the work was amazing. I'm not just saying that. My bosses said that too. And they didn't know what to do with my black ass. They had no idea what to do with me. They had no idea. It's like, the hell? Well, we can't deny you work. We're going to just send you over here. I remember one time they sent me to Bill Blass. Not Bill Blass. No, not Bill Blass. Jeffrey Bean. And Jeffrey Bean is a black guy. I think, yeah, there was Jeffrey Bean. There absolutely was. He couldn't stand me. And I just thought he was the most wonderful designer in the world. You're Jeffrey Bean. Yes, so what? Oh, okay. One of those. That's one of those experiences, unfortunately, of my own people that I really did not enjoy. Oh, how child. I worked with Donna Karen. I got to meet Miss Karen. She's just as cute as she could be when she's not being bossy. Um, got to work with Perry Ellis. Perry Ellis was one of my first jobs. It's really, really cool. When I went to Parsons, Marc Jacobs, the Marc Jacobs was my fashion critic. I won the Silver Thimble Award for 1993, 92. Marc Jacobs was he was my fashion critic when he was slumming it, and couch surfing, and doing copious amounts of heroin. When he came to the show, he was actually quite high. It was a scandal, and everybody knew he was high. And my whole thing, I was so green. I'm like, why is he here? Is this my life? You know, I'm coming from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Do I have this to look forward to? Is this me in about 20 years? No. And then, mind you, 5 years later, fast forward 5 years later, he's working for Perry Ellis, created the grunge look, changed his life forever. Absolutely. And mind you, he was design director. I got that job at Perry Ellis the year he was 4 or 5 years in. And I got that job right the year before he left. So I got to see him just about every day. And he was clean, workaholic, extremely talkative, funny guy. Never remembered that he was my fashion critic that got me the Good Silver Thimble Award. He never remembered. And I never brought it up. I wanted to one time. I think I almost brought it up. I kind of danced around it. He's like, oh, no, don't remember that. Okay. You're on my resume, though. My CVS, you're on my resume. Okay. It never dawned on him. Never. But anyway, so I say all that to say, Sean John was a place that everybody wanted to work. But even then, I remember one of the worst places I worked at concerning urban wear had to be Rockaware because of Damon Dash. That little man would yell and scream all the time. I have never seen someone yell and scream so fucking loud all the time. All day long, he's yelling like he has no endo voice. And this is not yelling because out of ignorance or just because he has no endo voice. He's yelling because he's mad about something. I'm like, what the frick frack are you mad about now? What now? He was always angry about something. Always. Now look at him. He's meek and mild now compared to who he was back then. He started, the lady that I worked with, who was my boss, he started yelling at her. And then he looked over at me. Mind you, I'm a freelancer. But I'm also a freelancer from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And I stood up, I was sitting on the floor doing croquis, but in putting together presentation boards and flats for Friday press, because usually Friday we have the presentation of the line we're designing on. Like, I stood straight up. Not here. He looked right past and walked right past me. Like, not nigga, no, you don't. Shit, I don't even fucking know you. I work here part time. I'm full time, but I'm listen. Problem solver pays me. Nickel, don't come yelling over here, cause I'm not full time here. Being one of the fashion insiders, I've never been one of those though. I've always existed outside that, on the outskirts of things. Even when I was an insider, I was an insider. Never wanted to be. I always just kind of fit in on the fringes. Always. It's always been that way. Absolutely. But back to Puffy. That's one of those things. Whereas you have to, Mr. Combs. Um, Never met him. Never wanted to meet him. Almost did, but never met him. But knowing what I know now, this man's a fucking menace. He's an absolute menace. But thankfully, things are starting to come out now, 20 years later. Definitely, but he's not the only one. And here in Hollywood, he's absolutely not the only one. The Me Too movement, a lot of times, a lot of the men that were caught up in that movement, we all begin to understand. Like, wow, this is sweet God. Faces you never even thought. Now they're talking about what's that? Justin Timberlake. Yeah, he's now being caught up in the scandal of screwing his own daughter. That's coming out. That's really sad. And of course we all knew that he was beating on Britney. Hmm. Beating on her and cheating on her. Everybody knew that. You know how many fittings, fashion fittings, what Britney would go to, and the eyes, the eye makeup. One thing when you hit white girls, of course, even after a few days after it heals up, you're gonna get that brown color. It's a really awful, awful brown color for black eye. It's just so ugly, even when it starts to heal. And no matter how much concealer you put on it, it's not gonna really completely cover it. Yeah, sad. It's very sad. But that's the town that this town is. Now it's gotten considerably better because it's had to get better. Let me tell you the reason why it got better is because a lot of the power has been taken away from those that don't really need it. The best thing that could have ever happened to Hollywood was Netflix. Seriously. Because it took to tasks all of those studios. You don't think those studios knew that their key mark stars were wife beaters, pederasts, and or drunks and drug addicts? Of course they knew. They didn't give a damn as long as they show up on time to the set and they do what they were paid to do. What they do on their time is their time. They really didn't care. They really don't care. All right, everybody. Now listen, if y'all want to come up and talk to me, because it is 4 minutes after 8, I believe. It's Saturday. You come up and talk to me. Let me know what's on your mind. And yeah, I'm gonna log in on Clubhouse, see what everybody's doing there. But if I do that, it's gonna be a lag here. Now, you guys can see me. So the lag, it really won't be that bad. But Clubhouse is gonna kick me out a few times now. So let me log in on Clubhouse because we've had about an hour and 12 minutes here. Just tick, 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 talking. I'm gonna log in on Clubhouse and see how they're doing. Yeah, but definitely. Now hold on. Just a minute. Now I'm logging in on Clubhouse. Now, the one thing about Clubhouse, I use Club Deck on my computer only because it's just more convenient. Because my phone is usually always held up. If I'm on my phone, it's texting over and over again from different clients or different spirit folks that are always in contact with me. So I use just a Club Deck. It's a lot more peaceful that way. Peaceful. Hold on. Club Deck should show up. There we go. It's taking its own sweet time. Hmm. Also, now too, while I do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up something that I came across a few days ago concerning Puffy, and I want y'all to see this. Let me pull up another window. I want y'all really to see this. What this guy's talking about. There we go. Mhm. Child abuse and sexual assault threats going on. But, hmm, and I want y'all to see this too. What's going on? Before we do that, check this out. it's getting really weird with his son as well. But listen, foot doesn't fall too far. Now listen to this. I found this a few days ago. So I was wondering that shocking allegations that's coming from his son. And I'm like, his kids can't be involved in this mess, can they? They are. They're absolutely involved in the mess. And that's the shocking part about it. Almost every one of his sons is involved. And so they may see jail time as well, unfortunately. And that's the sad part.
A woman has filed a sexual assault lawsuit against Christian Combs, Sean Combs' son. With the papers in hand, we now get into even more detail about these disturbing allegations, and we also have new reaction to these Combs lawsuits that sheds a new light. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Last week, we talked about how Sean Combs and his son Christian King Combs were hit with a lawsuit by a woman named Grace O'Markey. She claims that back in December of 2022, at 25 years old, she had been working as a stewardess on a private yacht chartered by Combs when she claims that she was drugged and sexually assaulted by Christian. Now, while we went over the lawsuit in our last episode, we didn't have the actual paperwork in hand. Now we do. So we want to do a deeper dive into some of these details. And there is a question about where this lawsuit even currently stands. Now, we know the timing of this lawsuit is very interesting, right? It comes after Combs, or Diddy, has already been sued by multiple people. The lawsuits allege sex trafficking, rape, assault, illegal drug and firearms possession, involvement in shootings and violence. And this new lawsuit comes 2 weeks after federal agents stormed Combs' properties in LA and Miami, reportedly removing firearms, electronics, maybe other evidence. This was reportedly pursuant to an ongoing investigation into sex trafficking from the Southern District of New York. And Combs' sons, Christian and Justin, were actually handcuffed, detained, not arrested, during that raid. We're going to get into that in a minute. Keep that in mind, that image, that visual. Now, while neither Combs nor his sons have been arrested or criminally charged with respect to this investigation, many analysts that we have spoken to believe it is only a matter of time before that happens. Okay, we have this lawsuit from Grace O'Markey. And before we even get into the details of it, there is a question now of what is happening with this. Why do I say that? Because the filing was not on the court system's docket. According to the Washington Post, O'Markey's attorney, Tyrone Blackburn, said that it had to be taken down after an unfiled version of the complaint was published by the media. So I don't know what to take away from that, if that means that what we reviewed last week wasn't supposed to be seen. Not sure. But assuming this lawsuit does move forward, there is a lot to break down.
Yeah, now let's break it down.
Now, I am reminded by the fact that Miss O'Markey is being represented by not only Rodney Diggs, but as I mentioned, Tyrone Blackburn. Mr. Blackburn is representing former Diddy producer Rodney Jones, who also filed a separate lawsuit against Diddy, his son Justin, and several others. He claims that he was a victim of sex trafficking and that he was assaulted and subjected to violence. So maybe it is not surprising we are seeing this language as he is representing multiple people accusing the Combs family of illegal conduct. We're going to get back to the merits of these lawsuits in a minute, but going back to the O'Markey complaint, another interesting tidbit is that in addition to Diddy and Christian, there are several unnamed John Does and companies who are named as defendants as well. O'Markey claims that these people and companies aided and abetted the commission of the conduct described in the lawsuit, and that as the case proceeds, she may add their names later on. Now, O'Markey goes into some detail about what this environment on the yacht was like. She talked about how she worked the late night shift from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Quote, during the second week of the charter service, there was a significant amount of partying and drug use, which caused the guests to stay up throughout the night.
Mhm.
The makeup of the yacht quickly evolved from just defendant S. Combs and his family to include a constant rotation of suspected sex workers and other A-list celebrities such as French Montana and actor Cuba Gooding Jr. Defendant S. Combs turned what was sold as a wholesome family excursion into a hedonistic environment.
Mhm.
According to plaintiff, it resulted in an unexpected increase in workload for her and her colleagues, as well as unwanted exposure to unlawful drug use, sex work, and general chaos. She also claims that drinks were spiked by Combs and that women were taken advantage of on the yacht. And she argues that as a bartender, she understands the impact of alcohol, and she, quote, found it very suspicious that after one shot of De Leon tequila or one mixed drink, various women on the yacht would be falling over themselves, panicking, or passing out. This led plaintiff, Grace O'Markey, to reasonably believe that the alcohol given to these women was likely laced with drugs. And she even describes one specific event in particular. Quote, according to plaintiff, in another incident, defendant S. Combs had several women whom plaintiff suspected of being sex workers on the yacht. In one incident, a girl was extremely upset and ran to the lower deck, locked herself in the massage room, and was hysterically crying. She said she did not feel safe and wanted to leave. The crew was alerted of this. At this time, Sarah Chapman, one of S. Combs' children's mother, was due to have a massage, so plaintiff had to attempt to remove this young woman from the massage room, but she was very reluctant as she felt unsafe. Eventually, she left. All of this is important for O'Markey's legal claims, namely that Sean Combs is liable for what his son Christian allegedly did to her. Why? Under the premises liability rights of action, and that, by the way, is where a property owner or someone who has control of the property has a duty to use reasonable care to keep visitors of the property safe. According to O'Markey, since Sean Combs leased, occupied, and or controlled the yacht and allowed who was on it and what was happening, this is his fault that she was sexually assaulted by his son. Quote, defendant S. Combs allowed and encouraged the people aboard his yacht, including his son C. Combs, to engage in the drugs and reckless behavior while aboard the yacht. Defendant...
No, hold on. Hey, Anna, what's going on? How are you doing? Listen, that went on way too long. What's going on, y'all? But it's really interesting. How are you doing, Asha? What's going on? What's going on with you? You in the bed?
Yeah, man. I just got in the house. I was, me and my dad and my grandmother and my father went out to dinner.
Cool.
And then I was at his house for a few hours. And we were watching like YouTube videos about the Marines because my younger brother just went to the Marines. So trying to get a basic training looks like.
Okay.
Yeah. But other than that, I'm chilling. Good.
Well, good. Very, very good.
Yeah. What'd you do today?
Nothing much. Just over here. I'm actually streaming on. Hold on. I'm actually streaming on StreamYard. So just over here streaming. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I just want to log in. I'm gonna have to let everybody know that I'm actually over here. But no, just tonight's Saturday. No lessons. Just getting down. I was listening to Nosy Hill live and just that whole Puff Daddy's interesting. But I really want to get down to the get down of not just him, but I want to find other celebrities that are actually that are thought to be a part of this stuff.
I think, we know Drake now. I don't know. Somebody said J-Lo's in with the nonsense. They said,
I've read a lot of lawsuits before. This one is on a whole other level.
So many of them. You're going to find out sooner or later. They said, I don't know if Busta's into like how P. Diddy is, but this girl, a few people are coming out now about him. You know, that mainly that he's just down low.
Okay.
But they haven't said anything crazy about him. But I think with him, it's interesting because a few years ago, he was somewhere, I don't know, at a club, and I think a gay man came up to him and wanted to just say, hey.
I remember that. He punched him, yeah.
Punched him, yeah.
I remember that, yeah.
So I guess, but you know how that goes
Mm-hmm.
with feel threatened because, like his secret might get out.
Mm-hmm. So what else going on with you, honey? How are you doing?
I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm just thinking about this job. Well, it's actually not an interview. It's more like a recruit thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm meeting with the recruiter on the phone, and just wondering about whether that's the position, that is going to be the right one for me. Just things like that.
Okay. Well, that's getting, you are getting ready to move, definitely, and things are starting for you, definitely.
So I'm just thinking about those little things. I'm trying not to focus on the how too much, though.
Yeah, leave
So
leave the high alone. Just work on your conjure, and
yeah,
let spirit take over. Let spirit do the rest, definitely.
yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, pretty much. Just working on raising my vibration and things like that. Just trying to stay in good spirits.
Mhm. Absolutely, honey. Definitely stay in good spirits, absolutely. But also to change your perception.
Hmm.
You have this, and um, you have this. You worked hard for this position, definitely. You worked hard to get in this space,
Yeah,
and so you can do this, definitely.
absolutely,
Very good.
absolutely. Yes.
Very, very good, honey. Definitely.
So you was talking about what other celebrities
No, what I'm
that
gonna
you.
do just on StreamYard, just go through videos, but also go through. I went through a few little information that I know, but I can't divulge what I hear in readings. Can't do that. But just
Right.
going through leaving little breadcrumb trails, but also too, going through what other people know as well, just exposing that. But I do know, and I do feel, and this is just psychically. A lot of times when it comes to situations like this, I know what I feel psychically. I just have to find the proof online. I have to find the proof to back it up. And
Mm,
so tonight, that's what I'm going to spend a lot of time doing. I know I feel these people that are there. I feel it psychically. I just got to find a way to
some
back
sort.
up what I feel.
Yeah.
Because I know what I feel is right. But if there's no proof out there, then I can't say it because nobody's going to believe me until it actually happens. But I know there's nefarious activity out there. I know that there are breadcrumb trails. You can't keep this type of activity hidden for long.
Absolutely.
So there's
This.
gonna be little glimpses of that demon that's inside of them.
Mhm. They said I was looking at some girl's page today who's also like a gossip reporter, and she was saying how there was the feds found a torture room, a secret torture room in P Diddy's house.
Hmm.
And I was like, interesting. I'm like, a torture room, like why would anybody need a torture room? Like what type of nonsense is like what type of craziness are you into?
No, no. When the moment you said that, psychically, what I feel spirit wise, it's an S. What's
Oh,
called?
BDSM.
Yeah, BDSM, sadomasochistic
Oh.
room that's going on. So they're gonna run away with that. No, this is what we call a pandering room. And sex talk concerning BDSM going on. This is soft or hardcore BDSM. So he probably has a room dedicated to that. So he probably is a sadist. So this is probably something he's into. So he probably has a dedicated space in his home, probably in both homes, all three of them. That's dedicated to because he likes control. So a lot of guys that are manipulative, a lot of guys that are, not all narcissists. They love control. Most of them do like control, and a lot of them actually, I can say this. I can group them up. A lot of them are into BDSM. They're narcissists that love control. They love that type of. They like that type of sex play where they're the master. They love that type of stuff, or they love it done on them. Absolutely, definitely. Sister Marley, she is a wonderful dominatrix. So a lot of them they just like say, hey, they just slap 'em around, bitch talk 'em. So definitely. I had another girlfriend of mine who's a dominatrix. She says the stuff I say to these guys and they just love it. I'm like, she's like, it's so therapeutic for me. I say, seriously? Yes, yeah. She's like, it's just so therapeutic. She's like, I love my job. And she says the worse I get, the more they pay me. I said, oh God, sounds fabulous. Yeah, that's what they're paying to be degraded, definitely. So it's a good living. It's a wonderful living that living to have. Now, mind you, my little softy self is like, listen, I'm going to be very much like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that to you.
I know, right? I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry. Did that hurt your? Oh, I didn't mean to do that. That's not the point. It's want to be like, that's not, huh? Just no. That's not, I'm not coming back here anymore. So yeah, I wouldn't be a good BDSM. I would be a good dominatrix what's a dominator. I wouldn't be good because I'd be one of those. It's like, are you okay? You fine? I gave you a safe word. Do you need another one? No. Here's another safe word. In fact, let's stop. I'm not feeling comfortable with this anymore. So, God. But I guess you definitely could get into it too. Like you slimy fucker. I hate you. Oops. Oh, I don't like that word. I'm so sorry. So sorry. I dislike you strongly. I don't like that either. I want to bip you on your bottom hard. Yeah, like that. That doesn't even sound sexy. So I would be good. maybe I could be soundless. Just to be one, just have a mask and not say anything. Just hit people, hit men. Probably wouldn't feel comfortable doing that either. I'm just. Did that hurt? You said ow. Oh, come here. I have an ointment for that. I'm so sorry. It's just naughty. I'm being naughty. We're being naughty together. Would you like a hug? I'll give you a hug. I'm sorry. I would not be a good dominatrix at all. Did you?
I came here to get bitch slapped.
I'm not. I did, and your face turned red, and you look like you're about to cry. Oh my God! And then I start crying. Did I hurt you? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm never coming back here ever again. I can't do it. I'm so sorry. Listen, no. Yeah, look at that big boom behind it. It's yeah. What a validation. Hey, Sister Mary, what's going on? I don't know. No, it'd be wonderful. It'd be a wonderful way to make a living, though. Absolutely. You're just bossing people around. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna pimp slap you hard. It sounds kind of. That sounds sexy if you say it like that, but not really, though. No, absolutely not. Hey, Sister Mary, what's going on? How are you, honey?
I'm good. How are you guys?
I'm trying out my dominatrix. I'm trying out my dominatrix talk. I am going to beat you bad, and then system probably nosy home. Sister Martin's probably laughing at me now, and I'm not good at it. Not no good.
Bad.
Very bad. I'm not good at it. But the thing about it, it is such a beautiful gift. No, it's not one of mine. But hello, how are you doing, honey? What's going on with you?
I'm doing good. Just getting in from for work. I'm just sitting in the car. It's raining. I think I was around the past week was a lot of energy, and so to like the last couple of hours, my shoulder has been hurting. Really, the right side. So I feel like I'm about to go take a spiritual bath and cleanse myself. So other than that, everything's good.
Good. Take a nice bath. Spirit bath. What are you gonna put in your spirit bath?
I'm gonna look up the ingredients of something we did a couple of weeks ago that was really good. After I took the test, I got it. I always take pictures and write them down, so I'm gonna look through. But I definitely feel like it's something around protection because Last night when I was in the room, I remember I had the girl with me, and she's been asking about you for a couple of weeks now, and I gave her your information. I think I had told you, and she's been like going to Facebook readers and like I'm at tarot readers, and I'm like, yeah, and I'm like, girl, don't. And I told her, I said, don't do that. Talk to my spiritual advisor. I've been gave her your information, and so she was you know I met up with her last night, and she was just telling me all these things that were happening, and I felt like she was almost like kind of like throwing up on me, because when you came on, I was like, okay, well here's your opportunity. You said you didn't have money. This is half of the price of a full reading. And she's like, well, I don't know. I don't people. I said, girl, and then she's like, I guess I'm just scared. She said, of what I might need. Like, it's like not wanting to do what needs to be done in a sense. And I was like, okay, well, don't keep talking, And last night, I was talking to her about that how I was like, he's really good. I showed him a picture of this lady, and he said, she has some colorism issues, and I said, then that made sense. And I showed her the synchronicities, like with the purse, the Mickey Mouse purse, and the Mickey Mouse cup, and Theo, right when so I left talking to her, it was about I'm coming and walking up my back porch. It's 3:00 in the morning. And on my steps on the back porch was a piece of trash, like I guess from like a jump rope, like the tag came off of it, like the paper part, and it was. And literally an hour before that, I was talking about the Minnie Mouse cup that I had of my mom and me and this lady. Then at 7.
Sorry.
That's okay. Then at 7-Eleven, the lady who I told not to text me until 9 a.m., she texted asking her a question that could have waited. And so I felt like I was also, for me to have that synchronicity and like with her, seeing that, talking about her, then a couple hours, because I saw that paper at 3:11 and she texted at 7-Eleven. And then I ended up seeing her like earlier this afternoon, but I didn't even interact with her. I just put a card up. I'm like, girl, no, because I feel like the older lady is also pulling on me. And then also I think some of the projected energy from my dad, because with his health stuff or whatever, because I went in on him about eating bad. He went to McDonald's or whatever, he just got out the hospital. And after I kind of said what I said, I was on my way to work, and I opened up my sunroof. As I'm walking down the stairs, I started noticing flies, and it wasn't that cold yesterday. And then as I get in my car and I pull back the sunroof, like hovering over the car was like a whole bunch of flies. And I was like, I said, yeah, this is some heavy stuff that my dad got going on. And so then when I pulled out, I almost hit a car. And I was like, okay, let me relax. And when I was calling my dad to apologize, he wouldn't answer the phone. So I got concerned. I'm like, oh, I hope he's okay. Because I was a little pissed off at my sisters. He might have early onset dementia. And they let him go to the damn doctor by himself. I'm like, come on.
Absolutely.
We go, so I'm calling him, so I called my stepmom, and I told her, I said, hey, can you just check on my dad? I said, and see if he's okay, because he's not answering the phone, because I was calling to apologize to him. Now, I just told her what I was. I didn't tell her to say anything on my behalf. So she texted me. She says, I talked to your dad, and he's not accepting your apology. So I was like, that pissed me off, because I'm like, I didn't ask you to apologize for me. Like, I'm saying, all I asked you to just, behind the scenes, see if he was okay. But obviously he had an attitude towards me and wasn't answering the phone because he didn't want to hear the truth about what he was doing to himself. So that was all within the past 24 hours. So that's why I was like,
that's a lot. Dealing with grown folks who are, that's a whole entire chapter of folks who will refuse to do what is good for them. And that are actually afraid to do what's good for them. But people have to, they have to, take a train ride to come fuck around and find out, and see how it is. It's, in the land of fuck around and find out, it can be airy and quite blissful until you punch in the face. So they're going to have to, that proverbial punch in the face, simply understand, like, have the come to Jesus moment, and then realize that, okay, this is something I really need to do. I really need to look after myself a lot better, or go to a professional that really knows what he or she is doing. Myself, and I know what I'm doing. Yeah, but that is, as far as your father, eating habits are some of the hardest things to overcome. Because as Southern black people, especially Southern black men, just men, period, I'm having to change my habits, and it is some of the hardest work I've ever done. And then I want to start eventually start fast, intermittent fasting, like not eating after 6 p.m. That's hard because I like comfort food. I like my cereal at nighttime, and I don't eat a lot throughout the day, but I eat a lot of the wrong things. So I'm having to stem off of that and slowly wean myself off of that. So, and I have a lot of wonderful, beautiful self discipline. Yeah, it could get better with a few things, but self discipline for me is a really big deal. But eating is a comfort for me. I don't have many vices, so I can understand. But he has to do what's best for him, definitely. So just be as patient as you can, because it's a thing. It can be a thing, especially for men. Not making excuses for him, but I feel that we're kind of like in the same boat. I'm having to change my eating habits too drastically and quite fast for health reasons. And I'm doing pretty good, but I could be doing a lot better.
Thank you.
Yeah, could be doing a whole lot better. But I like y'all. I can't have sugar anymore. I got to wean off the sugar. The S word. Imagine that. My middle name is Sugarfoot. How am I gonna? Hell am I gonna do that? Well, I have to find a way. Find sugar alternatives. Eat that old nasty ass sugar-free candy, which I think is poison. They're trying to kill folks with that nasty ass sugar candy. They even have Jolly Ranchers that are sugar-free. They're actually really good. I'm gonna get a bunch of those and just call it a fucking day. And just when I want sugar, just pop one of those in my mouth. It tastes like cancer, but it tastes awful. But I'll get used to it. But I can't have sugar anymore. Not really, no. There's too much glycemia in my family. And my doctor, I can hear his words echoing my ear, and I can hear my ancestors echoing my ear too. I had a huge dream last night of me just reverberating my spirit, stop eating sugar, stop eating sugar. It just kept eating it over and over and over again. And I know my ancestors are extremely concerned. My body is fine, but they're warning me. So I got to take that warning. I got to take that on the chin. No more sugar, or not as much as I have been eating. Um, See, it's okay to have cream in my coffee, but that's it. No donuts, 5 apple fritters, and 2 cinnamon rolls, and all that all that stuff going. I can't do that. 5 packs of Twinkies. I cannot do that. I'm not 12 years old anymore. I eat like I'm a child. I can't do that anymore. So I'm gonna have to grow up. Absolutely, honey, definitely. So I'm on the same journey. So now I've so funny. He's on that journey. I'm on the same journey with him. So bless his heart. So I understand, absolutely. But anyway, but how is everything with you tonight, other than struggling with grown folks to do the right thing? How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Even with the stuff that's been happening at 24 hours, when I was getting ready to go to work, I came out and it was this balloon blowing. So your profile picture reminded me of the balloon.
Hmm.
Um, and it was this balloon blowing, and it said celebrate, and it even blew on the gate, and then it like stayed there, and it wasn't even windy, so it shouldn't have been blowing. And then
Oh,
even the way,
my profile picture's a balloon. Where'd the balloon come from?
I guess it's your celebration of your anniversary.
Today's my anniversary. What type of anniversary? Oh my God, it's there. What does that mean? I've never,
Clubhouse anniversary.
I've never seen that before. I got a balloon. So it's been 4 years, 3 years, 4 years. Oh, I feel special today, but I can't have sugar though. Shit. Oh, I'll just have air biscuits and saliva syrup. Damn it. Oh, so that means anniversary then. That's what
Yeah, I guess it's
that's what
just
that sister was talking about today. She said you have a balloon above your thing. Oh, I didn't see it. That's so nice. Well, thank you. I think it's been 4 years now. I've been clipping on Clubhouse. Oh, wow. That is so amazing. Thank you, honey. Because you said balloon. I'm like, huh? Oh, yeah. Well, happy anniversary to me, I think. I think that's what it, yeah, it's probably is. That's exactly what it means.
Yeah, I think it comes we get the balloon, I think, every year.
Oh, well, happy anniversary to me, everybody. I am, I think this will make 4 years I've been on Clubhouse. Gallivanting and talking and healing and jibber jabbering. And that's listen, a lot of changes. Started out in Youngstown, Ohio, buttfuck Ohio, Youngstown, buttfuck Ohio. Now I'm in, well, buttfuck LA. Hi, thank you. So I'm in Los Angeles now, and I'm grateful for it. Definitely, it's a lot of changes. We've all been through a lot of changes, though, definitely, haven't we? A whole lot of beautiful changes. Hmm. Oh, here we go. Now, what did you send me? Did they kick me out? Mhm.
No, I hear you. I sent you the video of the balloon. Do you see how it's just moving? And like it landed on the gate. And then it lands on the gate, and then like towards the end, the way it was kind of like blowing up. I'm not blowing up. Well, I guess moving up. Yeah.
Mhm. Now, what does that mean to you, honey? Now, it's a
I
beautiful
feel like
synchronicity. What does it mean?
I feel like that they're telling me like it's like celebrate like things that the progress that I'm making and the connections, and because yesterday I pulled a card from this one deck, Mary Magdalene deck that I have, and it was the card that came out was serendipity, I think that's called.
Hmm.
Which is pretty much synchronicities and just to pay even more close attention to it. Like yeah, that's all I noticed.
Being serendipitous and just really going with the flow. And wow, absolutely, definitely. It's amazing how life actually does that. I'm pulling up your message right now. My computer is actually very slow, so it's chill. But no, curious ain't pulling it up. I have to get up. My phone is charging way over there. So, but thank you, honey. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Absolutely. All right, y'all. So listen, now mind you, we're also on StreamYard too. What I'm doing now, of course, is just deep diving concerning Diddy. And I want to understand concerning other celebrities, because again, I know what I feel. And also to everybody, it's Saturday, 9:40 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Uh, it's 9, 10, 11. It's 12:40 a.m. on the East Coast. Wow, y'all, that's late. Is it really that late? Oh no. Well, doesn't matter.
Yes, it is.
Ciao. Well, welcome. Ciao. But I know what I feel, and I want to find evidence to back it up. And I want to find it tonight. Now, I have 11 disturbing Kanye West accusations and lawsuits. But who's he making accusations to? I'm not interested. Now, top 10 celebrity reactions to, I'm not interested in either. I want to know because I know that the FBI, as well as the FBI, I know they have tapes of Diddy doing debaucherous things. And I want to know if I can find out if there's little breadcrumb trails. Oh, here's something right here. Photos surface in trafficking case as son. Well, that could be something right there, right there. I want to find out and see if I can find something to back up what I feel psychically. There's a video about Joe Budden. Oh no, did Clive Davidson a brutal? Huh? Clive spills everything. Oh please, whatever. Nobody wants to hear what you have to say, Clive Davis, because you're the reason why that man is the reason why he is. Because he's cruel. Photo surface and trafficking case. His son is hit with lawsuit.
Former music producer for Sean Diddy Combs worked on his latest album with him, suing him for sex trafficking and sexual assault and harassment. Well, they filed new court documents, and included in those documents was an unsworn declaration from Jones himself, detailing more things he saw, heard, experienced during his time working and basically living with Combs. And in this 18-page declaration, it starts with a promise that he's telling the truth. Quote, I have personal knowledge of the facts set forth herein, which I know to be true and correct. And if called on to testify as a witness, I could and would completely testify there too. Now, he's declaring all of this under threat of perjury, so if he's lying, that's a big deal. Now, if you ask me, I think one of the reasons Jones is doing this is to bolster his credibility because it's come under attack in the public. As we mentioned, some of the people that he mentioned in his lawsuit have fired back against those allegations. Opposing counsel questioned his narratives and motives. So this is an opportunity for him to tell the court, look, I have the receipts. I can back up what I'm saying. I will testify about this. So there are a lot of details that he provides, including background and how he got hooked up with and started working for D. And we already covered a lot of that.
Not interested. I already know that already. Now, supposing murders of bodies. Okay, this is going to be good right here. Curse of P. Diddy's son in prison. The whole thing about it, because now we know Tupac Shakur, of course, his wife, and then, of course, Cassie. But I feel the other murders as well.
I don't know why they always felt like there's a part of my spirit that keeps telling me he committed a lot of crimes on that.
What he's being known for
Absolutely.
with Cassie, I can only equate to some of the things that I've seen
Now,
him
this
and
is
Kim
Gene.
go through.
You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to puffy camp?
No.
Hell no.
See?
I mean, back in the days when he was like 10 and I was a little bit older, his older brother, we used to fight over the frosted flakes. You know what I'm saying? Before pause was invented.
You're disgusting. Go away. Now,
Vice president of the label. Whoa. Now we're all thinking the same thing, aren't we? Why in the world would Andre Harrell promote a 20-year-old to the vice president of his label? The music industry is one of the hardest to crack, and for most it takes decades to get this position. So how did Sean Combs really get this job so young? And that leads us to a little bit of deep diving history. Back in the day, Andre Harrell had a very similar story to Sean Combs. He was another college student in the Bronx, hoping to one day work in the music.
And that's Russell Simmons right there, right by him.
He was discovered
Hold
by
on.
a legendary music mogul by the name of Clive Davis.
The devil. Clive Davis, the devil. Hold on. I have to share this screen with y'all because, child, this is a whole entire hot ass mess. Here we go. Hey, the real Kenya, honey. Hi, baby. Child, this is a whole hot ass mess. Here we go. Now, everybody, what we can do it broadcasting live on Instagram, Facebook, as well as X, Smutbag X. So all this mess going on should be fit right there. Now, Arista Records.
Clive is famous for founding Arista Records and for being one of the first moguls to come out of the closet.
Really? You know what I've always faked about him, to be completely honest? This man looks like the cross between a turtle, a turtle and a snake. And then I'm gonna put mongoose on it just as a cliffhanger. This nigga's face, no, deeply unattractive.
Well, Clive took a special liking to Andre and took him under his wing in the music industry. Long story short, in 1985, Andre was...
Now, the thing about it, I always do understand something, y'all. They've always said Andre Harrell was on his knees in front of Clive Davis. Clive Davis has always taken advantage of his position. He's done so with so many artists there. Either he's literally going about, say, either sexually or through financial espionage. He's always done that. Always. He did the same thing with Whitney.
His own music label, one called Uptown Records. So just like Puff, Andre went out and discovered underground rappers, one of which being Heavy D. So again, this begs the same question. How did Andre get this position at such a young age? Well, according to Sean's former assistant, it's all a power dynamic with Clive Davis at the top. The insinuation is that the boss takes advantage of a young intern and will pay them back later on.
Does the ability to manipulate and control people.
Oh, child, here come Jaguar, right? Jesus Christ. This lady right here, you can't believe it. Nothing she say. Because let's see what she's saying. Here's Storm.
Why? Most likely because he was victimized by his mentor, who loved to control people.
And his mentor was
Andre Harrell.
Tell us how
who was mentored by Clive Davis.
Don't tell me that Andre Harrell got by Clive Davis too. Don't tell me that Andre Harrell got by Clive Davis too.
Yeah, they did. Let's move on. Now, mind you,
the 3-year-old didn't have the pockets to fund it himself, so it was initially a partnership with Arista Records. Wait, let's get this straight. So Sean was fired by Uptown and then given his own label by Uptown's bosses. How does that make sense? Well, it's possible that Jaguar Wright was correct.
He stepped around Andre Harrell and gave you the keys to the kingdom. Andre was in line.
So again, here's the idea. Andre Harrell had to do special favors for Clive Davis in order to be hired and then get his own label. And once Andre established his label, he repeated the same cycle on Sean Combs. But for former Uptown singer and assistant Jaguar Wright, she believes that Clive Davis was in on it as well. I guess your idea is that Sean did things for Andre in order to be hired, and then he did things for Clive in order to climb the ranks. And being that Clive is above both of them, he had the authority to give Sean his own label.
Andre got passed over.
But hold on.
Puffy's first victim of the power ritual. There's no proof to show that, but these clips may convince you that something strange was going on.
I mean, back in the days when he was like 10 and I was a little bit older, his older brother, we used to fight over the frosted flakes.
This nigga tell her. This nigga would tell on himself all the time, and then look at a little bit about.
Sure, you got much things in store for my man.
Yeah, definitely. We got a new album we're working on him to drop in January.
You can see the disbelief in Craig Mack's face. Like, no.
This nigga.
From here, frustrations grew further between Bad Boy and Craig. As Craig felt betrayed by his boss.
Craig Mack wanted to kill him.
I was your first artist. I was the one who took the risk and signed to your label. And more importantly, I've made you a whole lot of money. And now you're willing to throw away my career over a silly manager. What is going on? But not only did Puff want his career to dwindle, it's also rumored that he wanted him killed. Craig knew what Puff was capable of, so everywhere he went, he rolled around with a blinky, something very risky in New York City. He even contemplated getting rid of Puff in order to save his own life.
I had a gun in my lap. And I'm sitting there and talking to God. I'm like, Lord, I don't want to do this. But if it comes to getting ugly where somebody's trying to kill me, I'm going to.
Now, let me share a little bit about Craig Mack. Craig Mack spent a lot of time in the Bronx. I knew a whole lot about him. I used to do spirit work from his voice auntie. Craig Mack had people that live in South Carolina, but he had quite a few relatives from the Bronx. And it actually gets much worse. Puffy not only sabotaged his money, but Craig Mack was actually supposed to go to, back then they had another rap company, another recording company that specialized in rap. Mind you, they were the same ones that worked with Kool Moe Dee, that worked with, dang it, I forget they were one of the first rap groups. They had their moniker. It looked like this beautiful candy cane thing going on. I want to hold on. First rap groups. Anyway, he was going to go to them. He absolutely was going to go to them. And Puffy by that time had specialized in the art of sabotage. And so what Puffy would do, as the story goes, now I heard this from another reliable source who just talking behind drinks. Puffy would go to that company, because mind you, it's a company that doesn't have as deep pockets as his. He would go and try to poach their artists to come to his company. knowing good and full well he's not going to have any use for them and not even have any use at all. He just simply wants to keep that smaller company under his thumb. So under that threat, then finally he'll have his people simply say, don't sign Craig, don't sign, because you can't outright start say, don't sign Craig Mack. But he have a meeting with them. This Craig Mack, I'm just imagining this, just feeling this. This Craig Mack thing, don't do it, don't go through with it. And then he'll finally leave the artists where they are. But see, all that time, now you have artists that are being greedy, or artists that feel that they can do better. So now they're fighting at the bit to sign the bad boy, and they're no longer happy with what with what the deal that they have at these smaller companies. So he would go around causing these little fires in these other smaller hip hop companies. He was known for doing that. That's one of the reasons why Dave Mays of this found one of the founders, him and Vizino, found up Source Magazine. They hated Puff because a lot of their good friends that helped them put money up behind it to fund Source, they were friends of these smaller recording companies that specialize in early hip hop. Um, that's what their friends, and they all hated Sean for doing this. He would start these small little fires, creating these little chaotic situations with these small companies that were fine. All of that he did that with 4 or 5 companies just so Craig Mack could not get a deal. He treated this man so bad, and then he really did threaten his life.
I have to do something first or do something to prevent that from happening.
And I'm going to tell you something else too. Now, this came from his aunt. Now, I didn't hear this from her. I actually heard this from a good friend of hers. She literally said that this man, because I feel he's passed away now, said he was so freaked out about this. He came to our house high, so high, he hid in the closet and would not come out of it. He was so paranoid that Sean Diddy Combs was going to kill him. He was just paranoid that this man was going to kill him. He had him that frightened. It's so sad, though.
In what world should an artist have to fear for his life because his own boss wants to harm him? Well, Craig says that Puff tried to set him up at the studio, but when he showed up with certified goons, he decided to back off. So thankfully, the situation didn't end terribly, but it was the start of a new era for Puffy. Not only had he become a control freak, but now he was bringing the threat of violence to the table. Slowly, the golden child of the industry was becoming the villain behind closed doors. And now we enter Diddy's violent era. While the Craig Mack drama was taking place internally, a whole nother beef was stewing in the industry. By the fall of 1994,
that beef was starting in the industry specifically because of these little fires that Sean Combs was setting around these smaller rap companies. There's nothing that they could do because he was backed by Clive Davis. Clive Davis had a lot of heat. He had a lot of heat behind him in the recording industry. So they couldn't touch Puff at all. They could not touch him. But he was starting these fires and causing and having a lot of these rap artists like Kumo D. Kumo D knocked Puff out, the fuck out, literally. Just starting these fires in all these smaller companies. But the thing about it, he tried to do that on the West Coast. And I'll never forget, a company called Rap-A-Lot Records, I believe down the West Coast, they said, if you come here with this, we will kill you. Notice, in the early 90s, Puff was never on the West Coast because the West Coast told him, said, you come here with that, we're going to kill you. So this is, I'm going to see if they're going to talk about it. This is the reason why.
Competition for rap's biggest label, and this would be California's Death Row Records.
Ooh.
Particularly, Tupac had become the biggest star in rap, and everyone wanted a feature. In this case, Uptown Records producer Ron G wanted Tupac to record a verse for Biggie Smalls. So Pac asked for $7,000, and Bad Boy agreed to pay for the verse. So Pac records the verse with Ron G, and then is told to go to the Quad Studios in Manhattan to pick up the money. And that takes us to November 30th, 1994. Pac arrives in Manhattan and walks to the Quad Studio.
Yeah, he's shot.
As he's entering the building, he hears some Bad Boy associates yelling his name from the upstairs window. Pac is excited to meet with Bad Boy, and he walks in the lobby to take the elevator upstairs. But as he approaches the elevators, 2 men in masks are waiting for him right there. Before he can run, the men whip out and reach for his pockets. Pac tries to fight them off, but that's when the men make a wild decision. While being carried out of the lobby, Pac flips off Notorious Big and other Bad Boy associates, assuming that they set him up. Thankfully, though, Tupac would survive his injuries after a successful surgery.
Now, the thing about that, though, in all honesty, and y'all can watch this much later. I'm actually going to put the link in there. A lot had went on behind this. Puffy had set everything up, literally. And the really sad thing about this, and this is what I figured out much later, being here, being a video editor, people tell you things, especially working with Brandy. And I told y'all earlier, I'm going to put that basically here. Hold on. Oh, make sure you pause the video and then give commentary. They probably try to take it down, honey. Ooh, Lord. Thank you, honey. Now, Craig is deceased. I know he's with her. You did? Let me tell you something, honey. Oh, my goodness. The thing about it, they terrorized that man. They absolutely terrorized him. And then Suge Knight, now this is how nefarious Suge Knight is. He knew everything. Everything. He went with everything because he thought that it'd make Death Row Records, it would build up their stable as being more thuggish. Did he know that of course Puffy had set up Tupac? Yes, of course he did. You see, you have to understand something. Tupac at that time, now mind you, he was becoming gaining a lot of fame. But after the shooting, he got even more famous. But Suge Knight he knew that all this was going. Suge Knight could have nipped this in the bud, and the man we know as Puffy would be no more. Because Suge Knight had them boys on the East Coast. Most folks don't know this. Suge Knight had boys on the East Coast and the West Coast that were loyal to him. Suge Knight's money was long too. And he had connections because of the drug game on the East Coast and the West Coast, as well as down south. But he allowed it to happen. He allowed it to happen to build up the reputation of Death Row Records, to build up that thug lifestyle. Because he felt, back then, you have to understand something too. Gangster rap was a thing well before, a little bit before all this happened. So they're going to build up more of that gangster persona, that gangster persona, that gangster persona. And of course, Suge Knight, he loved that. He knew all of this was going on. Now, to act like he did not know, well, that's just Machiavellian. Remember on the Source Awards when he was talking about Puffy, talk about dancing all around in your videos, come over to Death Row, where you can be a real star. Now, that was really disrespectful. Of course it was. But what most people don't know is that you knew Puffy's style. You let him do that. You let him set up Tupac. You let this shit start. The reason why is because Tupac was becoming too big for his britches. Tupac was asking for more and more money. Tupac was becoming a much bigger star. He was the marquee star of Death Row Records. But also, Tupac was going to be snapped up by Interscope. Jimmy Iovine was already in talks with him. He was about to leave Death Row Records. Then he got killed. Just like Biggie was about to leave Bad Boy and start his own boutique, start his own imprint. Now I forget who's going to do his imprint, but he was going to start his own recording company and take on his own artist. Puffy had him killed. But the thing about it, I feel Puffy had both of them killed at the same time. And I do not feel, but this is me, I do not feel that Suge Knight had anything to do with neither one of the men killed. But he had everything to do with knowing all about it and even providing the connections to do it. Did he do it on his own? No. Of course not. Did he provide the connections? Yes. Was Puffy the man who paid for everything? Absolutely. Puffy's the bad guy. But Suge Knight is exactly where he is because he's an instigator. Biggie Smalls and Tupac would be alive right now, and Puffy would be long gone if Suge Knight would have did the right thing. But he didn't. He watched everything blow up. That's exactly what he did. And I believe he's right there. Now Puffy need to be right along with him. That's why he ushered Pac over. That's right. Absolutely. He shot Pac because of the fact that Pac was going to start his own label. And that's why he ushered Pac over to his label. Absolutely. But you have to understand something. Suge Knight was stealing money from this nigga left and right, was stealing money from Pac left and right, and Pac knew about it. Pac was a smart, smart man. A lot of people don't know this. Pac was a genius. Now he he let that little gangster lifestyle get to his head, everything else, and then of course being around, we all know about the energy and mojo. When you're around the devil, you're gonna act like the devil eventually because he's only human. Pac was a smart man, and he knew again another case where a label head is stealing money from their lead artist left and right. Pac was gonna leave him to go with Interscope. Jimmy Iovine had already known this. Now I'm gonna tell you something else. The only reason why, now I don't care what y'all heard, the only reason why Suge Knight is finally in jail is because the white boys at Interscope finally got tired of him running his mouth. And finally, and poaching, talking about him. Them white Jew boys finally simply said, oh no. Them white boys, they said, oh no, you're going to jail. Now, did they know all of this? That he had sit there and instigate all this? I don't think they did. Because one thing about Jimmy Iovine, he has his own ways, but he's about business. And he's about keeping his artists alive, to be quite frank with you. But he's not that nefarious. But remember, Jimmy Iovine, Death Row Records, was an imprint of Interscope. Remember that. Remember that. They were going to take and poach Tupac from him and give Tupac his own imprint. We only could have known what it would have been called. We don't know. But Tupac was going to be the head of his own record company, and Biggie was going to be the head of their own record company. Imagine how far they would have went. They were both extremely talented men, but two greedy motherfuckers cut them down before they could ever start their foray into genius. Absolutely. So just keep that in mind. Accessories to murder. Absolutely. Is that what that is? Accessory to murder? Jail. Absolutely.
Speaking of injuries, if you were a loved one or ever injured, you deserve the absolute best on your side.
Oh, child, here come the damn commercials. But listen, now we done had enough of that. Now the thing about it is this. Hey, Kiwi. Now, how do you say your name? Honey, you want to come up? Because we could take this
What
down.
I'm saying, like I say, any artist that want to be an artist, they want to stay a star, don't want to have to worry about the executive producer trying to be all in the.
Yeah, we done talked about you. But see, this whole thing right now, Jimmy the one, he the one who partnered with Dr. Dre. Woo, child. That Dr. Dre partnership, I'm gonna tell y'all something. Y'all know that Dr. Dre. Uh-huh. That's all I'm gonna say about that. You know that Dr. Dre, right? Mm-hmm. He like a little on the side, a little booty on the side, right? Right. Everybody knows that in this town. Hey, Kiwi, what's going on, honey? You added to the stage. Everybody know that. Hi. What's going on, honey? Ooh, you gotta unmic yourself. She probably don't want to talk. Dr. Dre is just as bad. Jimmy, yeah, he really truly is, to be quite frank with you. But Dr. Dre is he's much more clever with it, though. He's not as sloppy. He's not as sloppy. I don't think she want to be up here. Hold on, honey. Okay. Yeah, Dr. Dre is just as bad. But the thing about Dr. Dre, you have to understand something. Dr. Dre has always been about the music. Dr. Dre first started out, of course, that we know with NWA, niggas with attitudes, right? It started out with them with Ice Cube, and of course, what's the dude with the Jerry Curl? I forget. Ice Cube. Oh, Easy E. There we go. Easy, the dude with the Jerry Curl. Easy E. Now they all started that group together, big time. But also Dr. Dre had other forays into other groups well before Easy, because Dr. Dre is extremely talented. Dr. Dre was also an extremely talented producer as well. So he had forays into other music and other musical groups, not on the West Coast, but also down south as well. Remember, Dr. Dre also helped discover the DOC, the Doc. Compton, da dum dum, da dum dum. The That's all I know of it. But y'all man, that song. Let's get it if I can. Get it if I can. Woo. I love this song. Me and my cousin used to love this song. But the Doc, sometimes a whole bunch of artists. Now, here's where it gets nefarious concerning that old big nigga, Suge Knight, who's in jail right now. Notice, have you ever wondered what he really, really, really went after Snoop Dogg? And I'm going to tell you why. Now, I figured this out on my own quite a few years ago, but a good friend of mine backed it up. Mind you, she was a girl, another fashion designer that went to Otis Parsons. I was meant to come to Otis Parsons, but it closed down by the time I got accepted. But of course, being in New York, she came up to New York, worked with a little bit with Kelly Herrera, and there's a black girl, sister. Snoop Dogg wanted to expose to the higher ups how Suge Knight was infiltrating and instigating. Now the whole West Coast East Coast thing going on, it hyped up records. Everybody loved it, but everybody was unsafe. Boys couldn't travel the way they wanted to the East Coast for business, and other boys couldn't travel to the West Coast for business like they wanted to. And Snoop Dogg kept getting into scuffles because Snoop Dogg's entourage were a bunch of niggas that loved to get high. They loved the girls. And the thing about it, they're just ignorant goons that really didn't know nothing about the business. And they were always getting in trouble, always get in trouble. So Snoop Dogg here on the East Coast made the mistake of talking to a detective, someone he didn't know was a detective, and said a little too much. Got brought into an investigation room, started snitching about because the East Coast and West Coast, of course, had been hit by the FBI knew about it. It became very big. And you know how scary folks are. It became very, very big. So of course they're gonna start investigating because people are starting to get hurt. Snoop made the mistake of snitching, not knowing that he's snitching. He talked to one guy who happened to be a police detective in a party, whatever. That went ahead, and then they finally you have to make a formal meeting here in the East Coast in New York. That's when that first investigation concerning Suge Knight started. Suge Knight then began to understand you're being watched. Because from then on, the big boys, now mind you, the West Coast was watching him concerning police, whatever else. But honey, they're being paid off. They're being paid off. The West Coast, it's a child. LAPD is so damn corrupt. They're like pigs, slick down. You can't catch them. They're like slick pigs. They're just very incorrupt, very corrupt. At least they was. Now I don't know if they are now, honey, but they was big time back then. You could easily pay them off. In fact, a lot of them Suge Knight used as his own personal security. Now we know that now. That being said, East Coast security, East Coast police officers, they can be paid off, but not by these West Coast niggas. Because East Coast police officers, they paid off by the mob all the time. They were on the mob payroll for child forever. But that's the mob. That's their own. These West Coast niggas, you can't do nothing. And that's what started the FBI investigation into Death Row Records and Suge Knight. And when Suge Knight finally got a hold, because somebody gonna say something. When he got a hold, that Snoop Dogg finally snitched. Accidentally at first, by the way. That's why Snoop Dogg has always had to look over his shoulder when Suge Knight was out and about. That's the reason why. Now, mind you, they'll make up any other story, but that's the reason why. Ignorance, saying the wrong thing at the wrong time to the wrong person and not knowing who the hell you're talking to. That's how that started. I never liked Dr. Dre when I found out about that. Yeah, the thing about Michelle A, it's worse than that. And mind you, of course, that's rape involved in it too as well. Not only is it rape involved, Dr. Dre, I don't know how he's been able to skid under to skirt under the rug, to skirt under to get under. I don't know how he's been able to do that. I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know how he's been able to get understood, but people don't notice. That nigga has raped more women. There are literally two, three, about 3 or 4 cases back in the early 90s, late 80s, with him raping girls. There was 2 cases of him raping backup dancers. Two of them the same week, and they got settled out of court. They just got settled to threw money at him. He's a rapist. Him, and I'm gonna say this: the only character out of that whole group of NWA that really had some scruples about him was the one who's no longer with us. Now I know Easy E had a bad reputation, but when it came to treating women right, when well, because Easy E was a wife beater. He beat on his girl or his wife all the time. But when it came to raping and all that going on, he wouldn't do that. He just wouldn't do it. He would not do it. He wouldn't. Mm-mm. He was the more decent one out of all of them. Ice Cube, mm-mm. He's a sexual opportunist. I've heard of so many instances, girls getting drunk, getting stuff slipped in their drinks, and here he come getting on top of them. Pretty much. Everybody knows that, honey. Everybody knows that. He's a sexual opportunist. Now I don't know if that's rape or not, but it's something. It's not nice and it's not very good. But all these niggas up in the industry, you have to be careful around them, honey. This is the early '90s. You had to be careful. You had to be careful of how you went about carrying yourself as a woman, because if you're in if you're in a recording studio with these dudes, and you're a pretty girl, you better come with an entourage. You better come with some brothers. You better come with some cousins, because them boys will try to have you. And don't pick up nothing to drink. Don't pick up nothing. Don't drink nothing. Better carry your bottle of water and guard it like Jesus, because uh-uh, because they will literally try to take advantage of you. Puffy learned how to dope them drinks up and things like that. He learned that because that was commonplace. That was commonplace to do that. Hmm. Now, mind you, I'm only mentioning this for one reason: the culture of taking advantage of people in the industry. That is how it started. Remember, Puffy got his start in a part of the time of industry, whereas you could take advantage of people and nobody would do anything about it, men and women. And if you think they were only taking advantage of the women, listen, I can sell you Brooklyn Bridge for 5 cents. You got a shiny nickel? I'll sell you a bridge. They were taking advantage of the men too, honey, sexually and monetarily as well. They absolutely was. Just wasn't talked about, but they absolutely did. Of course they did, honey. You think homeless? You think them they only wanted the women? No. You have to understand something. Death Row Records, especially Death Row Records, being in San Quentin, the prisons, all they had around them was convicts. And the convicts, they understand that all they understand is power. You have to understand something. When a man poke another man in the behind, if they've been in prison, it has nothing to do with sex. It has to do with power. And I want you to keep that in mind when you think of Suge Knight. And I want you to keep that in mind when you think of the other executives up there who want to have power over the lesser ups. Suge Knight was known to do anything, honey, and he was raunchous. It was horrible. Child, just awful. All right, hey Clubhouse, what's going on, y'all? Sorry, child. Listen, I'm over here just ticker talking. Hold on. Yeah, Leo Simmons said my mic is out. Hey, honey. Hey, everybody. I'm over here. Y'all, you know they're going to throw me out of Clubhouse at least twice tonight. I thought Ice Cube was decent until I saw Players Club. Uh-oh. Ice Cube is decent now. Now he's decent. No, honey. When Ice Cube was in NWA, that nigga was hell on wheels. And everybody knows it. Child, even my little corny ass know it. And I'm so far from the rap industry, I might as well be over here in East Asia. And that's New York. Even my little corny gay ass knew it. Hmm. Everybody knows that, honey. He's a sexual opportunist. He's a sexual opportunist. You know how many of them pretty girls, they pit them in they drink, and here he come, getting on top of them, hunching. That was his note. That was his note. Girl passed out, here he come. Him and all his other little slackies. That's all they did. Girl laying there limp, drunk, or drunk on a drug or something. And they all having taken turns on her. He was known for doing that. And what can you do? Most of the girls didn't know that they could do anything about it. He's Ice Cube. He was known for that, honey. And the thing about it, I really wish some of these girls would have brought his ass up on charges. But it's LAPD, okay? Interscope and Death Row is paying these niggas off to begin with. What's the first? And mind you, a lot of them go to the same damn parties. Hell, some of them probably hunching on the same limp girl. What did you? It was deeply, deeply, deeply chauvinistic. There was nowhere to go. The only alternative you had was Blood or Crips to start a fight, to go and send them some goons to the studio to take it up that way. And they did. They absolutely did. That's a lot. Some of them girls had goons for brothers and uncles that did take it up in the studio. The girl, they would go there and start all kinds of fisticuffs. You know, Scope Records for the longest, when it was started the first 2 years, honey, Charlie, they were doing more fighting than they were doing basically creating music because the way they were treating the girls, and some of the girls had connections, and some of the girls had brothers. They sure did until, now mind you, it became a thing because the fighting became so much, it became a thing. They would then have girls around them that were known for being lackadaisical about their bodies. They stopped just attracting any pretty girl because one of the men he actually got killed in Compton. So after that happened, I forget his name. He worked the soundboard, but he was raping on a girl, and I think she went and told one of her uncles or brothers, and they came back and just shot up. My mind you, was a studio that was right out here. It's not in Inglewood, it's actually in Compton. Shot the whole thing up, and he was part of the Bloods. So from then on, they started having girls, whereas that were lackadaisical. They weren't necessarily prostitutes, but they were pretty close, pretty close by the neighborhood. And these girls are just lackadaisical girls that they knew would be down for it. So what they would do, they would test you to see if you were down, and they would up the ante slowly, 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 just how Puffy does or what he was doing. I tell you, all these niggas did the same damn thing. They all did the same thing. That's the only reason why I'm bringing it up. They all did that. Now, mind you, ironically enough, I spent so much time on the East Coast for 21 years. That's home. But I know more about the rape culture concerning the studio, concerning the music industry on the West Coast than I do on the East Coast because the West Coast originated it. The West Coast created the protocol, the slip it in the drink, they easing up on a girl, breaking down her character. The West Coast understood that. Mind you, you couldn't treat them girls like you treat them on the streets because these girls came from families. These weren't street whores, not at all. These were girls that were going to college. They were just celebrity. They were just starstruck. But you had to break them down, break them down. The West Coast started that, honey. Long before Suge Knight and Ice Cube and before all of them. Before they were even born, it started that way, started the industry, because it started the movie industry, blaxploitation. When black folks first started making money in the movie industry concerning blaxploitation, it created a subculture of pimps because that's the type of lifestyle that was being idolized. So he created a whole subculture of wannabe pimps and wannabe hoes until that became a real deal. Mhm. That was on the West Coast, honey. It was a whole lifestyle, pimps and hoes. That's where that lifestyle came from. It came from blaxploitation. Blaxploitation started it. And of course, the movie industry, they would just eat it up. The folks in the movie industry, the higher ups, they didn't give a damn. No, they just wanted warm black seats in the audience. They didn't care how it represented the communities. They didn't give a damn. It wasn't their community. They didn't care. But that's how that pimps and hoes thing started through blaxploitation. Now, that being said, that lifestyle of raping and taking advantage of girls, taking advantage of people, ironically, that started on the West Coast, honey. It was formulated on the West Coast. Now, mine's just going to sound funny, but it was fine tuned here on the West Coast. That's what they were doing. The East Coast just made big money off of it. Absolutely. So keep that in mind. Hey, Koi. Sister Otta, Sister Natural, Sister Kay, Sister Brother Leo, Leo Simone, Sister Brother, hello, hi, and Sister Mira, Sister Asha. That's on Clubhouse. Hey, everybody, I hope you're doing fine. Hmm. Now, mind you, I want to find out a little bit more about. I'm gonna have to do this behind the scenes. And yeah, y'all is so right. You can't just play commentary like that. Take the video down. That makes sense to me. There's something about West Coast rap that really, really depraved. I don't know how else to describe it. It's nasty, honey. It's. I'm gonna tell you something. There is one rapper out there, and I'm gonna tell you this. His name is Too Short, and I kind of sort of, child. Woo! I just listen to this music, a little too young, so seventh word, ninth word, eighth word. And that's just something how he talk. It's kind of sexy though. But it's filthy. But the way he talk about them girls though, it's debaucherous. Listen to Too Short. Listen to that talk like that. Listen how he talk about the girls. You know this nigga live that lifestyle. You know he really feel about women like that. The way what he say he gonna pit with his whatever he gonna pit it. You know he do. And the way he says it, it's good. I think what's so jarring about it is that he says it like just as natural as saying hello in the morning. Good morning. It just is natural. Mhm. The West Coast, then Florida, then the South, and then the East Coast. Now the East Coast has always been cornball. They never got into that old sexist stuff like the West Coast and down South did. With Me So Horny, with this Two Live Crew. Oh, Jack, listen. Two Live Crew was just silly. Every time I heard that song, my nana heard one time, oh, cut that off. Oh, the devil. She started, I started laughing. I was with Gino. Ooh, I got to go in this house. I got to live with her. Cut that radio off. Me so horny. My nana, her eyes bugged out of her head. Oh, that's the devil. It's I laugh about it now. But child, oh my nana, she just thought it was the devil. But I always thought it was silly. Cause Luke Scott, what do you call Luke Skywalker? Oh my God. Uncle Luke. Mind you, I've always looked at him. Oh, I was a queer child. I was a queer little boy. And I turned out to be a queer man. I've always found him sexy. I don't know why. Because I think the reason why is because those boys, yes, they were selling sex, but it didn't have that element of danger to it like it did on the West Coast. That nigga Too Short, I was scared of him. The way he said that with that beat and that music was kind of dark, them niggas got down like that. That's raping music. I hate to say it. Now, Two Live Crew, that's just silly. It's sexy, it's X-rated, but it's frivolity. It's fun. It's fun. Make me love you long time. But it's fun. I would giggle. Nana was horrified. She was absolutely horrified. But it's fun. Not the West Coast, baby. That's raping music. And that's where Puffy learned everything he learned. That's where he learned it from. Absolutely. Now you may ask yourself, Puffy's an East Coast nigga. How did he learn it from the West Coast? Because Puffy, when he first started with Uptown Records, Andre Harrell, Harrell would always have folks on the West Coast try to create their sound in the studio. If you're in the early 90s, now mind you, if you're my age, you're gonna remember on the East Coast, they tried to replicate the West Coast sound, that slow melodic beat that was kind of dark, was really beautiful. That slow beat. The beat that of child, some rappers out of West Coast back in the early 80s. It wasn't many, but the beat that they had was amazing. It was almost like a porn movie beat, but a little bit more up tempo. And Andre Harrell was trying to replicate that. So he would invite a few producers concerning the West Coast over. Paid them good money too. Mhm. And he would, because there was a little competition going on. But the West Coast concerning in that movement, because the East Coast is always going to be the home of hip hop, always. But the West Coast was turning it into more of a lifestyle. And then all of a sudden, it became much more sensual. And then, of course, our boy, well, not our boy, Too Short, he took it there. First one to take it there. Because first we had gangster rap trying to shoot everybody up, trying to shoot the barn up, shoot the house up, shoot the police up. Fuck the police. Just shoot everybody up. But around about that same time, here come Too Short, coming out with this pornographic mess coming out. And it did sound pornographic. And they wanted to replicate that beat. I got a feeling by that time Puffy was with Andre Harrell. I got a feeling Puffy was introduced to some shit from the West Coast. And I feel that's my spidey senses. I feel that's how he learned. That's how he learned how to take advantage of people. All that slipping in a drink mess going on, that's not an East Coast thing. That's a West Coast thing. Taking advantage of girls like that. Now I know that sounds odd, but you gotta hear me out. On the East Coast, boys didn't do that. They didn't do that. And I'm gonna tell you what boys would do. I know it's gonna sound awful as hell. But what East Coast boys would do, they're liable just to try to take it from you by knife point, then versus being sneaky and stay sticking something in your drink. They're liable to try to push up on you, like really push up on you. You know what I'm saying? As a girl or a boy for that matter, they're liable to push up on you, be more aggressive with it. But that sneaky stuff of slipping things in people's drinks, I call it the espionage of sex, the full manipulation of a situation. That's West Coast. That's not an East Coast thing, honey. New Yorkers don't do that. East Coast folks don't do that. Now, Southern boys do that. Of course they do. But East boys, I don't know. East Coast boys don't do that. At least not way back in the day they didn't do it. Now, honey, they probably do anything. But it's a type of rapist lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. And that's where he learned it from the West Coast. By a transplant of music. Producers coming over, trying to teach them, trying to make the West Coast sound an East Coast thing. And I really don't think it ever really took off on the East Coast, to be quite frank with you, because the East Coast was much more of a hard edge hip hop. Not even hard edge, more melodic hip hop, more of lifestyle based hip hop concerning the inner city. Where if you listen to the West Coast, their hip hop is more lifestyle based. It was still a hard edge because child fuck the police and all that NWA and all that going on. It's gonna tell the true story of a life struggling. But a lot of the rap too is about sex and the lifestyle of living in California. Whereas in New York, shit, half the year it's cold as hell, pretty much. So it's just one of those things, definitely. But that's where I feel Puffy learned that from. So I have to take y'all back just to give a little bit of a history lesson concerning that rape culture that Puffy fully was a part of. It didn't come from the East Coast. I felt we really had to understand where it came from. That's a West Coast thing. Absolutely. And it has a music to back it up. Now, certain folks, certain West Coast folks say that's not true. Okay. Listen to 1993, 92, 94, yeah, 1993, 92. Too Short, in his prime. Mm. You tell me, in his prime. Because Homeboy was popular. Oh my God, he was making money on top of, he was minting money. West Coast and East Coast, actually internationally, he was very, very popular. Tell me, and compare that to the music that was out at the same time on the East Coast. How does that compare concerning sex and the violence of sex? Too Short was a violent, nasty little motherfucker. And you hear it in his music. He had no respect for women at all. Not saying the East Coast people are any better, but the West Coast is something filthy. It's something demonic about it. It's just degrading. And people ate it up because they had never heard anything like that before. And that's what Puffy learned to do what he's doing. And there you go. Chow. That's how them dudes really are out there. I'm from Cali and I couldn't stand the culture. The culture's nasty as hell. I'm out here in Cali and I'm not nearly around nobody. I'm sitting there either talking to y'all or I'm busy. Very, very busy. But I don't have time to hang out with nobody. Well, hold on. Can y'all hear me on Clubhouse? Y'all, they probably can't hear me. I'll have to log in again. Hold on. Mm-mm. Child, no. Nasty ass bastards. Oh, hell no. Hmm. That makes sense to me. There's something about West Coast rap that's really depraved. I don't know how else to describe it. That's the best way to describe it, baby. It's depraved. And, you know, that's a really good word. Now, mind you, it has its own beautiful fan base. But it's just ew. Is the rappers from NYC worse than the West Coast rappers? Nowadays, I can't say, honey. What now? Mind you, West Coast rappers are concerning worse. Now, concerning rape culture, West Coast rappers, concerning East Coast rappers, West Coast rappers are much, much worse because it's a lifestyle here concerning sexual coercion as well as sexual violence. But it's also a lifestyle there as well as the East Coast as well, East Coast as well. But we're talking about the semantics of music and pitting that misogyny and that sexual violence to mute to wax. In the West Coast, you really feel it. You understand that it is a lifestyle. Whereas in the East Coast, um, yes, of course, absolutely. But the West Coast just takes it out of the. It's just wow, just wow. Hey, honey, hey, Yentl. But as far as words, I think as far as words like right now, um, I think a lot of it's mumble rap. There are a lot of really great artists out there that are around now that are really great young artists out there that do some really great things with music. Beautiful things, absolutely beautiful things. But mm, it is. Hey y'all, listen, hey y'all on Clubhouse. Hi everybody. Sorry about that. Y'all know Clubhouse can kick me out every once in a while. So listen, come on over to Club Deck. Not Club Deck, but come on to StreamYard. I'm gonna send an invite. Because they kick me out every 5 minutes. Here we go. Now, that being said, I'm not one to to sit here and down my own brothers. Not at all. Just gonna be honest. Cultures, especially those that perpetrate violence against women, they can all go to hell. But the visceral understanding of it, yeah, pretty much. But again, just to expose where this culture came from and where Puffy picked it up from. Also, to keep in mind, in the early 90s, when during the time of Andre Harrell, Harrell had a lot at Uptown Records. Harrell had a lot of business over here too. Remember, he's under Arista Records. Arista Records itself was just starting out. They had just by that time, I think they had just started. They just started signing Whitney Houston, and they were just starting her out. Mind you, she's one of five key marquee artists. So they were just starting. So of course that's West Coast and East Coast. So of course, Clive Davis as well as company reps are going to be sending Andre Harrell over here, and Puffy is his young protege. So they're looking for artists, looking for producers, songwriters, and West Coast songwriters are absolutely insane. East Coast songwriters are absolutely beautiful. Like for instance, Ashford. Hold on. Solid Ashford and Simpson. Incredible songwriters. Stevie Wonder. Child. Spent a lot of time on the East Coast. But the East Coast songwriters are incredible. But West Coast songwriters are equally incredible too. There's a lot of untapped talent out here in the West Coast. Whereas the East Coast, a lot of the songwriters were there, many of them had their own deals. They really had royalty deals. A lot of them were quite sophisticated in industry. Where in the West Coast, there are a lot of burgeoning new writers. Everybody's looking to branch out. So it was great for the picking on the West Coast concerning writers and lyricists. Great for the picking. And there were so many of them that were out here. Beautiful talent, incredible talent. In fact, to be quite frank with you, in the early 90s concerning, now this was well in the early 2000s, 98, 90, okay, 94, 5, 6, 7 into 2000s. Some of your greatest rap artists, if they didn't write their own lyrics, the people that wrote their lyrics, a lot of them came from the West Coast. Not all of them, but a lot of them came from the West Coast. They were able to really just pit themselves in that New York lifestyle. Because you can tell the lyrics of a New York rapper from a West Coast rapper. It's completely different. That being said, Puffy would come over here with Andre Harrell as he's a protege. So of course they learned things. The record industry back then was incredibly treacherous. He learned how to be a demon. He learned how to take advantage of people. Probably watching it. Probably happening to him. hmm Now, I'm going to tell you something. There's another thing that proves that he learned a lot of his formidable years concerning being in the recording industry. It was touched by the West Coast. Is his violence. Puffy has always said that for what I've heard, what I've read, and what I've even heard on YouTube and other outlets. He's always been a little hot-headed. But in the West Coast, violence was extremely not unheard of. In fact, it was quite normal, especially in the rap industry, the gangster rap industry. Violence was a mainstay because a lot of what you had around you, your entourage, they were violent. They were gang members. NWA, it was said, of course they would have. The NWA was affiliated. Were they affiliated with the Bloods or Crips? I think they were affiliated with the Bloods, I believe. I believe they're affiliated with the Bloods. So it's going to be violence around you all the time. There were some places where NWA in LA, they could not go. They were affiliated with a rival clique. They could not go. His violence. That's very West Coast. When he hung that lady up out that window, that balcony, out of Cassie's condo, what that sound like? We heard Suge Knight do that to a young man. Who was that young man? Y'all remember that young man? I think he grew up to be a producer too, a pretty well-known producer too as well. And then he do that to Marshall Mathers too. Hung him up by his feet off a balcony. And Puffy did the same thing to a young woman here on the East Coast. No, back then he was on the West Coast in Los Angeles. Cassie's condo. I guess she was telling him to back off of Cassie. Stop hitting her. He hung her by her feet. 17 stories up. Mind you, Rolling Stones did an expose about him. They took 6 months. They did a beautiful expose. It reads as if they took their time. Nosy did a beautiful expose about it. Check out Nosy Whole Live. She did a wonderful expose on it. And then check out the article. She'll explain it to you. Chill. Well, it was Vanilla Ice, wasn't it? Oh, chill. Chill. And when I heard that, mind you, I hadn't even known that until just a few days ago. I said, didn't Suge Knight do the same damn thing? He sure did. I told you that boy became violent, being over here, searching for lyricists, just songwriters, being a part of the lifestyle. Puffy learned how to become a monster here. He learned how to do that shit here. Now, as far as his need to murder, I'm going to tell you something. And I've heard this through very few sources. Because even though Suge Knight is in jail, don't nobody want to talk about it. And I tried to get about 3 or 4 years ago, about 4 years ago with Brandy. We were trying to do our own expose, trying to get that Biggie Small and Tupac piece back together again. We started hearing insight concerning Suge Knight. We couldn't get anything. Nobody wanted to talk about it. Nigga in jail. He in jail. Nobody still don't want to talk about it. Out here on the West Coast. That man has more bodies behind him than the littlest, and they cannot convict him. You see, Suge Knight doesn't kill people. He has killers around him, and they do his dirty work. What does that sound like? Sound like Puffy. Of course it does. That man has been responsible for more death. Suge Knight should be called, his middle name should be called the Angel of Death. If Suge Knight didn't want you living no more, you weren't going to be living no more. And he didn't care who you were. What does that sound like? And also, too, you have to understand something. Suge Knight did not like Puffy. Didn't really respect him. Tupac didn't respect Puffy. Where do you think he got that disrespect from Puffy from? Suge Knight. And I'm going to tell you the real reason why Suge Knight stopped. Because at first, with Andre Harrell, Suge Knight was just starting out. Just starting out in the music industry. I don't think he was he was just starting out in the music industry by the time of Andre Harrell. Puffy had made the mistake of getting with one of Suge Knight's girls. Because I was going to always be about a girl. Made the mistake of getting with one of his girls. And one of his girls blabbed on, you know how some girls have pillow talk. Some girls talk too much. Puffy went ahead, and that pillow talk went ahead and told a few people, told the wrong people. Maybe one of Suge Knight, I don't know what it was. Maybe one of his things he didn't do right in the bed. I don't know. But it pissed Suge Knight off so bad, and his big ego was bruised so much. He hated him ever since. So, when Biggie and Tupac started their own friendship together, you got two people at both them boys saying do not like each other. Now, Tupac didn't respect Puffy, as it said, because he thought he was corny. Tupac didn't respect Puffy because Suge was in his ear, probably telling him that too. Tell him that silly stuff. Because at one point in time, for a little time, they actually got along together, Tupac and Biggie. But back to Puffy. That's how that started. That's the reason why they started disrespecting each other. Tupac wanted to kill Puffy at one point in time. Couldn't stand him. They could not be in the same room together. Because Suge Knight told Puffy, nigga, it's on sight. And when Suge Knight tells you that, you need to stay away. Don't come to LA. There were whole entire orders. Mind you, Puffy is one of the biggest producers, biggest artists in the hip hop world. There were whole entire months he couldn't come to LA if Suge Knight didn't want him to. If Suge Knight said, you can't come here, Puffy don't come. Because them Bloods, they don't play. I think Suge Knight was affiliated with Crips. I don't know. I have no idea. But he couldn't come. Could not be there. So that's how all that started. All that debauchery. All that nastiness. It all started through rivalry. And it really all started with Suge Knight as well as Puffy. It started through a woman that just said too much. And Puffy talked too much. Making fun of the wrong person. Just making fun. Saying the wrong thing. And Suge Knight took offense to it and hated him from then on. That's where that started from. Some little passed around girl running her mouth and Puffy saying it to the wrong person. Trying to make fun, probably just trying to make fun or whatever. God only knows what he was doing. And it got back to Suge Knight. Suge Knight hated him ever since then. I'm a girl. Absolutely. Now, that's how all that started. Just the mindset that he can do in the God complex. It's very West Coast. The debaucherousness, the not being accountable to anybody. That's how it all started. But Suge Knight is responsible for a lot of death of a lot of people. And people know it and they still don't want to talk about it. Because Suge Knight to this day has people everywhere and still has a considerable amount of power, even though he's been in jail for quite a long time. The West Coast, Suge Knight still has power. Don't ever think he don't. Has a lot of power. But I tell you one thing, if Puffy ever gets in jail, and if he ever gets in jail, the same jail that Suge Knight is in, Suge Knight is going to kill him. That nigga he holds a grudge like a baby holds a titty. He is not going to he hasn't let that go in over 30 years. He hates him and will do everything he can to bring him down. But you have to also understand something too, that no snitching thing. Suge Knight takes that very seriously. He's not going to snitch on him. He's just going to kill him. That's all. That's all it is. Just kill him. And so that's just a little insight where Puffy got all this debauchery from. Now I'm more interested exactly what bodies he has, because it feels like he's formulated his life right after his own rival, Suge Knight. If you think about it, if you read Suge Knight's history, there are 2 autobiographies out about Suge Knight. Read them. Both of them on Amazon. Put in Suge Knight autobiography. There are 2 of them. Read one of them. I forget that author. He's a brother. Very good biography. It looks just like Puffy, except without the gay sex. So just like Puffy. So just keep that in mind. What y'all doing on Clubhouse? Hey everybody, it's 10:51. Child, we over here just talking about everything and anything. Lovely. Yenta said, yeah, they all rape and abuse women, especially Dr. Dre, and he still begin achievement awards. I heard that too. Now they're gonna be after him too. The only reason why they can't go after Dr. Dre, because Dr. Dre ain't killed nobody. And the women that he abused, he paid off well and still pays them off. Still pays them off. And they all got children by him. He still pays them off. I've never heard anyone word it like that. That's exactly the way you define it. It's just, girl, it's just nasty. Oh, damn music. Hi. Hey, honey. Mhm. Didn't Cassie hang Waylay by his feet? Didn't Diddy hang Waylay by his feet? He sure did, right over Cassie. Sure did. He did it twice, honey. He did it twice. Violence is considered funny to them. I can recall countless of times someone being attacked while people stood around laughing. Yeah. Or if you listen, that's the East Coast. Now, if you're on the West Coast, these niggas are they'll hit you like wolves. One attack you, then they all gonna attack you like wolves. They'll rip you apart. That's the difference. That's the difference. These niggas out here are like wolves. They don't play. East Coast niggas, they just stand around, look at you, point at you, and just laugh at you. Not these brothers out here in the West Coast, honey. They will attack like wolves. One get on you, the other get on you. Didn't he do that to a couple of people? Yes, he did. He sure did. Just like Suge Knight. So if you think about it, Puff is a Suge Knight 2.0. He's always tried to be a Suge Knight. Always tried to fashion himself after like a Suge Knight. He's wanted the reputation of a Suge Knight. One that's a killer. One that can't be played with. One that people don't laugh at. So what do you think about Swizz Beatz and Nas? I don't know about no Swizz Beatz and Nas. Nas, I don't know, honey. I know they don't respect each other. I know that for sure. I know Nas couldn't stand Swizz Beatz for a long time. Swizz Beatz was an amazing producer back in the day on the East Coast. Nas refused to work with him. Absolutely didn't want to work with him. He refused to. But also, too, you have to understand something. When Nas got with that Khalees gal, honey, Khalees, that sister, Chad, when Khalees was in her prime, that was a fine girl. And I'm a queen, I'm saying it. That's a pretty girl. She's still beautiful. Khalees is a beautiful girl. But child, her milkshakes brings all the boys to the yard. They really did. But one thing Khalees never did, Khalees never slept around. I've never heard that about her. She'll tease you, get you rock hard and say, oops, did I do that? Oh, by the way, I gotta be somewhere. Bye. She never did. Absolutely not. And that's why Nas wiped her. Khalees is one of the few girls that has a clean reputation. She'll tease the hell out of you. Make you think you're gonna get somewhere. And you ain't got nothing. And watch her walk right out your door. Oh, I gotta be somewhere. I've heard that through two people. Quite a few people. She told me it's beneath her, honey. Listen, the recording industry was just a money grab for her. She loved her business. She loved being an artist. She absolutely adored it. Absolutely. But no, honey. It was just about money. That's all it was, baby. She didn't take them niggas seriously. Hey, Miss A, you want to come up? Hi. It's crazy because they're both Virgos, right? Hey, Miss A, what's going on? Oh, child, Miss A came over here. Yeah, are they both Virgos? I dated a Virgo one time. He tried to break my heart. I just dumped him before he dumped me. Miss A don't want to be on the stage, honey. Miss A, you want to be on the stage? Yeah, I know. Yeah, she's doing her thing with the garden and everything. She absolutely is. She absolutely is, honey. Absolutely. Very proud of her. But I've heard really beautiful things about it. Just, she gives back. Oh, how do I get down? Oh, honey, I'm sorry I brought you up. I thought you want to be on the stage. I'm sorry, honey. Listen. Sometimes they don't want to come talk to you, T, with your big mouth. Definitely not. But absolutely understand that. So now we don't walk down the timeline concerning Puffy, where he got that old hateful ass from, that hatefulness from, trying to be a Suge Knight 2.0. You think about it, a lot of what he's done is very similar to Suge Knight. It makes sense. I think I'm gonna name this video "Comparisons of Puffy and Suge Knight: What They Have in Common." Because it's a lot. That also tells me something about him. He's never been his own man. He's always fashioned himself after men he felt had more power than him. They were more violent than him. But you got to know something about his daddy. His daddy was a drug runner, a drug pusher. It was taken away from that, taken when he was a child. But that's the world that he comes from, where violence is respected. Absolutely, honey. Now, mind you, his mama, Miss Combs, she was a kindergarten teacher. But his daddy was something else completely. Harry was a beautiful, handsome man. But hey, he let that life get away from him. And he got killed for it. Trying to rob the wrong person, take their money, and they took his life. So I guess the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. Just keep that in mind. All right, y'all. This was wonderful. So listen, I'm gonna end this stream. We've been on here for 3 hours. We tried to do just a little bit, spill a little tea, just a little bit, but I really turned out to be a chronological understanding of the psychosis, the beginning of Puff Daddy, more of an understanding of his psyche, and where he got this nastiness from, how he styled himself, who he styled himself after, which was Suge Knight, his rival. Imagine being so empty, you're styling yourself after a man who absolutely hates you, and secretly you look up to him. And you've done most of your life imitating him, imitating how he deals with people, the violence that he uses to get what he wants. Puffy's imitated that man, big time. And now he too will be going to jail. Though I don't think Puffy will ever see jail. I think he's going to have a hard time extraditing him. And when Puffy does get to jail, I think he's going to unalive himself before that ever happens. Because Puffy knows he's not made for jail. So he'll take himself out before they take him in. And I do believe that. I feel that. All right, y'all. This was eventful. It was wonderful, y'all. Listen, thank you so much for your time. And I appreciate you so very much. Hope you had a little fun and learned a little bit. What I'm going to do is start doing more research. I still do need to I want to understand not only the violence, and I think next Saturday we're going to talk about this, not only the violence, but I want to understand how, just who did he kill? What is he known for killing for? The last time I did an expose concerning the connections to Puffy, the higher ups, who was controlling him, but who also could be hurt by him. We found out, of course, there's one of the most powerful men in the recording industry, who basically was business partners with Puff for the longest time, and how his son is connected to Ice Spice. He has long hands. That's the Grange family. Hmm They have long, long tentacles in the music industry, big time. This to be said. Mm, do a little bit more research. I'm pretty sure I could find. Maybe reach out to folks and see what they have to say. But listen, y'all. Be good and take care of yourself. I enjoyed myself. Thank you so much for your time. Everybody, thank you very much. And I'll probably be back on tomorrow talking about root work again. But this was a nice respite from root talk, spirit talk. It was just lovely. I enjoyed it. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you, honey. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Listen, be good. Take care of yourself. Thank you so much for your time. And also to, as always, I'm gonna thank Sister Marley, Nosy Ho Live, for inspiring me to get back on YouTube. I was on YouTube in 2009, just telling people again advice, spiritual advice, everything. But I got tired of it. And then life got busy with everything else. But I'm back now. And so, have Sister Marley has inspired me to be back. Child, seeing her have fun and look how she carries herself. Just so much fun. Just so much fun. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do that too. I'm just get on and just talk, talk, talk. Maybe not as good, but I have my say too. All right, y'all. Listen, be good and take care of yourself. And thank you for your time. Bye bye, everybody. Mhm. And thank